Steve Dangle Podcast. Powered by Sports Interaction. Wanna bet?
SDP, the Steve Dangle Podcast. With your hosts, Steve Dangle, Adam Wilde, and Jesse Blake.
I want to start off the show by saying a big congratulations to Steve's childhood idol, Chris Draper.
Oh, yeah?
He was promoted this morning to assistant general manager and director of amateur scouting with the Detroit Red Wings.
Oh, nice.
He's been within the organization for a long, long time. I think he started in for strength and conditioning. And if you've seen him today, you could probably see why. He and Gary Roberts are probably the strongest, most in shape former NHLers I've ever seen. And they almost fought at the 2017 Outdoor Legends game.
I'm so mad I missed that. I was there too.
Yeah, well, I know you were there, and I'm a little jealous. But you didn't see that part?
No, because I with only a few minutes to go in the game, which by the way didn't count. Right, it's an alumni game.
Mm-hmm.
I was going down the tunnel, and it was the buzz of the tunnel though. Everyone, did you see Draper, freaking Roberts? What was going on? And you could tell a couple guys still needed to calm down from it.
A little fired up.
Yeah. Most guys were pretty cool.
Yeah.
Chris Draper, the pride of St. Brendan's Elementary.
Can you name the one other NHL team besides the Detroit Red Wings that Chris Draper played for?
Winnipeg Jets.
All right.
That one.
And I've spoiled the trivia.
I know that.
What was he traded for?
It was like a third round pick, wasn't it?
No.
Oh, I don't know.
Even less.
Future considerations?
You cannot get
A ninth round?
future considerations is nothing.
Yeah.
This is just a little bit more than less than nothing.
Okay, I don't know.
$1.
He's traded for $1.
He was traded for $1.
Wow.
They got a future Stanley Cup champion, future Olympic gold medalist for $1.
I had his Winnipeg Jets rookie card, and he lived up the street from me.
Yes, he did.
We grew up on the same street, and so when he won the cup, those couple of cups in Detroit, the first 2 years, the back-to-backs, 97, 98, I think, we got to go up and hold the cup and that sort of thing. We knew the family and all that sort of thing. So I asked him when I'm like 10 years old, and the last thing he wants to answer is this, but I said, what happened in Winnipeg? I was like, so why didn't you stay with the Jets? What happened there? And he's like, well, I was there for a couple of years and they weren't giving me any opportunities, so I asked for a trade. And that's what happened from his perspective, at least from a 10-year-old, from what I can remember. So I thought that was, I was like, yeah, that's pretty bold asking for a trade. And then he ends up winning an Olympic gold medal.
I just remember him visiting our grade 2 class a couple months after getting hit by Claude Lemieux, and he was talking like Kanye West.
Because he was just...
he just...
Oh,
and he still had the playoff beard because I assume it hurt to shave. Or whatever.
Wow.
Chris Draper, in an interview a couple of years ago, said that he was able to give Mr. and Mrs. Ilitch the $1 back. So he thinks they're even now.
That's adorable.
That's cute.
Okay.
Imagine Chris Draper, after all those years, all those Stanley Cups, hands you $1 and he says, thanks for acquiring me.
Here's something I need to look up. I need to look up how deep the blood feud runs with that Detroit Red Wings team and that Colorado Avalanche team. Because obviously Yzerman is now the GM. Draper is now the assistant GM. Claude Lemieux is an agent.
Oh.
The Red Wings do have a Claude Lemieux guy. Who is it? Thank you, Puckpedia. Moritz Seider?
Oh, shit.
Is a Claude Lemieux client?
Well, I know that Chris Draper, I think, was it Chris Draper that did an interview with The Athletic a couple years ago, and they asked him about it? And I think they still don't... It was either Claude Lemieux or Chris Draper that did the interview, and I think there was an apology given by Claude Lemieux, but I don't know if it's been totally accepted. I think that feud is still happening.
Really?
Yeah. Or it's like you agree to disagree on the events or whatever it is, but I still believe that there is a underlying tension there that would never get in the way of business. But I don't know, listen, if you go back and you watch that hit, do you think you could forgive the person that laid that on you?
Then he goes on and wins the cup. I'd have a hard time getting over that. But then they answered back with back-to-back cup.
And they beat Colorado.
Colorado en route.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I mean, you can't have your revenge more whole than that, can you?
Everything kind of turned out fine for everybody.
Yeah, everybody wins.
Colorado eventually won again, too.
Yeah.
I
But
don't
what
think-
makes me
I don't think you
happier?
should be too upset.
What makes me happy is that Colorado didn't win the next year, and that probably eats at Drew and producer Drew. And I like that. That makes me happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Drew's
He's gotten a little too confident lately on Twitter.
misery makes me feel good.
A huge shout out to the PWHPA and the new league that is coming in January. Now, we haven't done a whole lot of coverage of that. And the reason for that is that we have the Noxie and Cac show, and they have been intimately involved, both of them, in this process. So we were thinking that, okay, we could talk about it, but why don't we just wait and let them tell you the firsthand story about how things materialized? And I know that people have been asking, like, where's the show been? This is where the show's been. They've been working on this CBA. So we're not going to go much further into it. We're going to kind of let them tell you the story and everything that you need to know in their episode. It'll probably drop sometime this summer. We just have to wait a few weeks for the dust to settle, I think.
There's been an impossible amount of information and also misinformation.
A ton of misinformation. Crazy. A lot of people making a lot of hot takes without knowing the whole story, too.
Yeah, and like we could become part of that problem.
Yeah.
Or we could simply let Liz and Carell do their thing. And listen, but like it's funny having like access to them, because that way we can be like directly annoying instead of just annoying on Twitter.
Yeah.
So for everyone who's like, "Where's the new show?" Don't worry. We were like, "Hey, where's the new show?"
We were in the WhatsApp group going, hey, guys, you know,
Can you make one, please? What's happening? Not that I wouldn't ask, but like also what's happening.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Now, the
But
other
I would never ask.
so
But
that
also what's happening.
I wanted to let you know that is coming. Now, Toronto is an expensive place to live, as we know.
What?
And there is a list of the most expensive back property taxes owed to the city by whomst. So, you know, you're if you own a house in Toronto, your property tax can be anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000 a year. It's crazy money. It's very expensive, right?
I thought Toronto was less.
No, it's more because we get all the commuters. We have to support all the commuters, which is why when they tried to put in a toll road,
Sucks to suck.
they tried to put in a toll road for people commuting in, and the provincial government shut it down because they were worried they wouldn't get reelected, and they didn't get reelected anyway. But that's, you know, we support all the infrastructure for when people used to commute in, but they don't commute in anymore so much.
As a commuter, I get it.
Yeah. So the one of the highest owing places, people, companies on the list is Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment. They owe $1.18 million in property tax.
Wow.
And listen, I love MLSE.
For which location?
It looks as though it's the exhibition place, like where
BMO?
where BMO Field is.
Okay.
And so it's interesting because of the way it's all set up. Maple Leaf Sports is sort of like they own and have the ability to manage BMO Field, but they're not a tenant. They're saying they're not a tenant or an owner of BMO Field, which is why they don't owe the property tax.
So what are you?
Because the city owns that land.
Yeah.
And Maple Leaf Sports puts in the money to keep up the stadium and upgrade it for like whenever, you know, when the World Cup comes, they're going to be the one footing the bill for that, not the city. But they're basically trying to say, yeah, we're not a tenant, but we're also not an owner. And they are actually an owner.
I don't disagree with them because the city owns BMO Field.
Yeah.
I just like the idea that, you know, the government can come to you with a bill and you just go, nah.
Maple Leaf.
I've never done that.
I assume there was going to be like a reason that they had. It wouldn't be like, oh, they're not paying on 40 Bay Street or wherever their offices are, you know?
They say they're not a owner. They say they're not a tenant. They're managers. They in a statement to the CBC, BMO Field is under a quote management agreement with the city, and the teams pay a user fee, not rent. As a result, they shouldn't be tagged with property tax like traditional exhibition places like Medieval Times or Liberty Grand. Yeah. The ultimate responsibility for payment of realty tax rests with the owner, and MLSE is neither an owner nor owner of the property nor a tenant.
Yeah, no, I think they're right.
They might actually have a point
They don't
here.
own it. The city said in that deal when they purchased BMO Field, the city said we gotta keep it. Like it's our thing.
Yeah.
So why should MLSE be responsible for the property taxes?
They're also getting charged 1.25% of interest per month, which
my
works
gosh.
out to be, about $10,000.
Oh god.
Rounding error.
And the city says they're an excellent tenant. They're a great partner in so many ways. We just hope to get this resolved by the fall. By the way, Steve, you and I have both worked for MLSE, and we admire the organization, but how good are they at paying people?
So bad.
Like, I'm sure if you're an employee there, it's different, but when you're a contractor, it's going to be 6 months.
So I will say I don't know about employees, but my experience was tumultuous.
Yeah. Be honest, I think I enjoyed my time there. It was not my main source of income, so I wasn't like hurting. But I remember doing one of my 2 years there. It was like, I started in early September and did not get paid until early July the following year.
This is a story.
And that's okay. It was okay for me, but I don't think employees have to deal with that.
It's a story I'm trying to decide whether or not I should tell.
Maybe you want to hold on that, or
You know which one I'm talking about?
I do know exactly what you're talking about. I think we just say that this
Has enough time passed?
big corporations are, well, the ownership's changed since then. You could argue that, hasn't it?
I'm going to do it.
Do you want to tell it?
I'm gonna do it.
Tell it. What the hell?
So I was, this did not make the book because I wanted to play nice with MLSE because they were very nice and let me wear a Leafs jersey on the cover of my book. Mm-hmm. But I will tell it now. Bygones are bygones.
Sure.
I don't hold it against them. I wasn't even upset at the time as much as I was just flabbergasted. So when I was an intern for Leafs TV, which is MLSE, you collect MLSE checks.
Which is neat, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, super neat. I can say I've collected a check from Rogers, from Bell, from Maple Leaf Sports. Like, I think that's pretty cool. CBC, and that's basically it when it comes to this country, right? I missed out on the score. That's about
And you didn't get chorus in there, too.
Oh, yeah.
I got chorus.
All
I
right,
wanted to get into chorus because the building has a slide.
Can we get to the
does have a
story?
So the story...
Is that there's a slide at Chorus Entertainment, and somebody went down it too fast, and they had to change the slide. That's a real story as well.
that is
Anyway,
real.
go
got
ahead.
checks from the zoo. You got checks from
Yeah.
Tina.
My mom did not write me.
All of them were hundreds of dollars too. Let me put it that way. That's how well broadcasting pays. But anyway,
Okay. So I was an intern at MLSE many
Covered
years ago.
We were there at the beginning of the story.
all right.
We
Keep
got
going.
nowhere.
I was doing it for the clip later
All right.
to make Maddie's life easier.
Do this.
Here, wait. I'm going to do it again.
Okay.
So I used to be an intern at MLSE for school, but they paid me $300 a month. It was a huge thing to get a paid internship when your internship was for school, even if it was only $300 a month. So I bring in my $300 check, $300.
Okay.
Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment. I bring it in and I give it to the teller at unnamed bank.
TD.
Sure. And they take it to the back and they're gone for a couple minutes.
Oh, this is good.
And they come back and they hand me the check back and they go, I'm not supposed to do this, but I'm going to give you this check back because it bounced. And they're like, I think you came in here with the confidence that it wouldn't bounce because they obviously saw it said Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment on it.
Yeah.
But they're like, yeah, this bounced. There's like insufficient funds. You can't cash it. And I go, what do I do? And they're like, try again next week. And I go, okay. So I went back to the bank next week again, like just heart pounding through my chest because another reason why he didn't ding me the fee, it wasn't just that he knew I had the confidence that the check wouldn't bounce. It was that he saw my account. I didn't have any money. Why do you think I'm in the bank trying to cash this $300 check? I don't have any cash.
If you had cash, you could just put it in the bank machine and get it in 5 days. But no, you needed to cash it now.
I needed it. I needed the $300 like for the train so that I could get down to my internship at the Leafs. So I go in a week later and I'm like, what if it bounces again and this teller doesn't waive the fee or whatever? But it ended up, it cleared.
Oh, good.
So that was the day I learned MLSE has more than one bank account.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I don't think Austin has ever been like, excuse me.
Yeah, no, I think the players get it on time. I think the employees get it on time. It's contractors. And, with major corporations, that becomes a problem. I remember same thing with MLSE, but my story was they overpaid me. And here's the thing.
What?
They added a couple extra zeros. It was like $10,000. And I think I had maybe over the course of 8 months made $6 or $7 grand. So they pay me like $17,000. And I contact my friend at MLSE and I'm like, hey, they just overpaid me 10 grand. Like what am I? Because at that point, like I also had no money. I did have a mortgage, but I had no money. And I was
That's why.
I don't know what to do with this. So I like separated it and put it in like a savings account and whatever and kept it away. And anyway, they were able to get it back. So then the following year I'm working for the team and having a great time or whatever. And I cannot seem to get paid. Can't seem to get paid. And then I come to find out that they thought I was working off the money they'd already paid me. So they're like, oh, he already got $10K in advance. So
without discussing it with you at all.
No, nobody mentioned it. And I'm like, but go back and check your records. I gave it back to you. And they're like, oh, I guess you did. Then they issued me a check. And it's like, when you're talking about an organization like that at a high level, 10 grand is like a rounding error of a rounding error. It's nothing. And so I just thought I was like, man, they probably don't want to be wasting their time with like my tiny little pay compared to what they have to deal with. Think about the cap compliance thing with the NBA and the NHL and all that stuff. But anyway, yeah.
I've already told you all the companies that I listed earlier, the only company I have ever worked for that paid me on time every single time was the Toronto Zoo.
Wow.
The only one. That's why I wrote a chapter about it.
I had a full-time job, a pretty prominent full-time job for the position. And each year from my contract, I got a slight increase. And I remember one year, I just stopped getting paid. And then so 4 weeks into it, I'm like, hey, what's going on here? And I guess what happened was they have to go into the system, delete what you make, and then insert the new stuff. And they never inserted the new stuff. They just deleted what I made. I was like, but I got him. Come on.
I never even leave that stuff a week.
No, I was like, oh no, they'll get it. I was too afraid. I didn't want to say anything.
It's happened to me enough times that I'm like, they're not paying me.
Yeah.
So something's wrong. They're not paying me. So I'm after them I'm on them like shit on Velcro.
Absolutely. Well, you should be. Now let's talk to Dave, and then today we're going to talk about the rest of where we stand now in NHL free agency. And I also, at the request of producer Drew later on in the show, I want to get Steve and Jesse's, and I'll give you mine as well. I want to get your free agency winners and losers. So I'm asking for one team winner, one team loser. There are obviously multiple winners and multiple losers, but what matters here is why you think one particular team is a winner over the rest of them, right? And why you think one team is a loser over the rest of them, and what proof you have to back that up. And then it'll be up to the compliment section to decide whose picks are elite. All right?
Ooh.
So let's talk to Dave, and it's going to be about the hot dog eating contest.
You can bet that with David Bastel. Brought to you by Sports Interaction. Get in the action and make a play. 19 plus. Please play responsibly.
All right, so we usually do You Can Bet That because there's an event coming up that you might be interested in. But the event that happened yesterday is the one that Jesse needs to brag about. He was talking about it all weekend. We've been able to do a show on Friday, Steve had laryngitis. We would have been talking about the odds for it, but you can always check them out at sportsinteraction.com/SDPN. Jesse, tell us about Joey Chestnut and the hot dog eating contest.
The hot dog eating contest is one of my favorite events on the TV calendar every single year because they know how ridiculous it is. Like it's become like an SNL parody of itself. There's one moment where the commentator who was like, everyone's talking about AI this and AI that. I want to see an AI chatbot eat 45 hot dogs. Like they know it's a joke. So I like to watch it and I bet on it obviously because I had to have some action
because
on
you
it.
can bet that.
Because you can bet that on Sports Interaction. I had Joey Chestnut at under 73 and a half hot dogs. And he came in at like 62 or 64, I think it was. Because that was such an easy pick for me. Because like going into it, you knew he wasn't going to set the world record again, which I think was 74, 75. So
76.
76, there you go. And I knew, so it's going to come in under that. And 73 and a half was a high number. So I took that under and I won myself a good $2.48.
Let's go. I like it. Did you okay, so I bet that as well. Did you parlay it with is a record going to be set? Because we offered that as well. And if you said under that mark, then obviously you thought no record and you could have made another quarter out of that test.
I didn't know that was available to parlay. Else I would have totally done that. But yeah, no, I just took the under. I thought it was an easy one and it hit, thankfully.
Let me ask you this, guys. Okay, and because I like the event too. I wouldn't go as far as what you're saying about it, but I do like the event. It is fun. July 4th. It's usually in the middle of the afternoon, which is perfect for us, kind of thing. So, do you think they should have more of these things? Like, why doesn't Canada do something for maybe not Canada Day, but maybe like Labor Day weekend or something? Or like, would you guys watch this if there was like, say 3 or 4 major eating championships?
Yes, yeah. They're the Canadian eating champion who's from Bowmanville was in the competition.
You guys got to get him on the show, man.
Yeah, that's a good idea. We should call him.
Bowmanville. Was it Darian?
I forget his name. I texted it to you, but like we have eating competitions with Canadians.
Yes.
There's a world or a national ranking for Canadians. They could totally have this, but Canada doesn't seem to have fun with these things.
No, it doesn't.
Not to this extent.
No,
right?
we're very boring.
They really pull it out. Yeah. So, and even the Joey Chestnut strut to the eating area, I'm like, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
And then they're pulling up the Chestnut versus Brady. Chestnut versus Jordan. Chestnut. I mean, come on. But yeah, you're right.
What would be the food if you're gonna have it? A Canadian one. What's the food?
Donuts.
Donuts. I was thinking beaver tails, but donuts are better. You're right. Now, is it the full donut or is it like the Timbit?
Ooh, good question.
Oh,
sounds like a sponsorship opportunity.
That's what I'm saying.
A Timbit competition would be awesome.
I think it'd be amazing.
Yeah.
Now, would you, if you're eating in that competition, would you want it to be the flavor that you want, or would you want it to be the one that, like the old-fashioned plain, that has the least on it? Because it's just dough, right?
See, old-fashioned plain would soak up so much moisture.
Well, yeah, that's right. You're right. Because it's just a dry sponge.
I'm going chocolate glaze.
Yeah.
Give me the chocolate glaze.
Nice and as heavy as possible. All right.
Chocolate glaze is the best. It's elite level. Dave, we've got a golf tournament this weekend too. What are we looking at Sports Interaction?
Yeah, it's a John Deere Classic. You know what? Usually the John Deere is a pretty decent tournament. I'll just be honest with you because I am a golf bettor. But when you look at this field, it's kind of a B field. You know what I mean? Like when you look at Denny McCarthy's as the clubhouse futures leader, Cameron Young's in there. Adam Hadwin actually 20-1 is pretty good value for the Canadian. But and it's no disrespect to these guys, but we're not seeing the Rorys. We're not seeing any of the live guys. We're not. But it is John Deere is a pretty decent tournament for something that's been around for decades. I like it just because it kind of opens up the summer months of the golf season. But I'd take a flyer on a Canadian. I'd go Adam Hadwin 20-1. Jess, are you looking at anything as far as John Deere is concerned, or is this a pass kind of thing?
Well, you guys have the pinata picks, so yes. I think I'll do my pinata pick right now.
Do it.
I put $2 on it. Steve, let me know who it spits out. You guys have the confetti animation and everything.
Yeah, we go all the way with it. Man.
Oh man, this is my guy.
Who did I get?
For sure. You bet $2. The payout is $252.
Okay.
If you hit Keith Mitchell.
Killer Keith Mitchell. That's actually not bad.
That's
actually not bad.
Is that his nickname? Killer Keith?
Yeah, Killer Keith. Killer Keith.
Okay.
I've bet him before to finish T20 and
Did you win?
I didn't win, but I mean, he was 25. So.
I didn't win, but it was really fun. Okay. I just did mine.
Okay, who'd you get?
So I put $2 down. The payout is $252.
Yeah.
Okay. Scott Piercy.
Scott Piercy. Okay.
Killer Scott Piercy.
Yeah. Killer Scott.
I don't have a nickname for Scott Piercy.
Salacious Scott Piercy. Sanguine Scott Piercy. Whatever it is. Check it out right now. sportsinteraction.com/STP. And Dave, we'll see you again Friday. Love catching up with you again, man. It feels like it's been too long.
It has been too long. And by the way, Friday, for everybody circling it on the calendar, Alec Manoah returns on Friday.
Oh, baby.
Big day.
I know. We're going to have some props on strikeout totals. Hopefully this guy gets back on track because the Jays desperately need this guy.
I think,
this is supposed to be the ace, right?
How do I bet that he's going to allow like 8 runs?
I don't think he is.
Innings?
I think he's going to be
Jesse.
good.
Stop it.
I don't know.
No.
We'll see.
By the
Turn
way,
that mic off.
before we go, I just want to say one last thing. Dave, that's a good color blue on you. It's a really nice color.
Thanks.
You should keep that. It's a nice.
Go with
nice
my
color.
eyes?
Yeah, exactly. All right, Dave, we'll catch up with you Friday, buddy. Thanks.
Adam.
I'm blushing. See ya.
Dave Bashful.
All right, so let's kind of take a recap of where we stand right now. There's a couple of teams we want to put a spotlight on, and then we're going to get into your free agency winners and losers. Now, Luke Fox graciously put together a list of the top 10 unrestricted free agents, still available. The first one is one that the Leafs were sort of linked to for a bit, but I think it's probably too far gone at this point with their cap already being $8 million over, is Matt Dumba.
Yeah.
28 years old, right shot defenseman. How the hell is he still available?
No one's got any money. Mm-hmm. I don't remember if it was CJ Show or 32. CJ Show works for us, so I'm going to say it was CJ Show. When the cap only goes up $1 million, that's only $32 million extra dollars across the league.
It's a good way to put that.
Yeah, I had never thought of it that way, and that's nothing. It's nothing. If there are 4 more $8 million players than there used to be, gone. So it's so wild. It's so wild to me
that he would be available. Yeah, considering what he could have netted the Wild in a trade at the trade deadline. This it's a valuable piece. Obviously, the Wild want to bring him back. I wonder if
I would have preferred him to Klingberg, but he's probably more expensive.
The Coyotes have been pursuing him, and I wonder if they're one of the few teams with the cap space. I wonder if he goes there. Almost like a Klingberg situation in Anaheim, only I expect the Coyotes won't be as depressing this year as Anaheim was last year. And then they move him at the deadline.
Yeah, it looks like one of the situations where the money kind of runs out and he's got to do a very short-term deal to try and get back into free agency.
I think it'll be at least 2 years. Because I think the Coyotes are done with the mercenary thing.
Yeah, but I don't think if they want Matt Dumba to sign with them, why would he sign with them when the cap's going up next?
Why would he lock himself into 2 years with Arizona?
Well, because they can give him a lot of money. They have all the cap space.
Yeah, but I would take a shorter or less amount of money in shorter term so that I'm free agent when the cap's a little up. And
I'm looking for 6 to 7 years next summer if I'm Matt Dumba.
I could see that. I could definitely see it. I just think the Coyotes want to compete, and I think they'll be aggressive about it.
Another team I think you should keep an eye on, a couple teams, are the Blackhawks and the Red Wings. The Blackhawks are clear. We know what the Blackhawks are doing. They're doing sort of what the Leafs used to do. It's like bring in these guys, let them have a ton of ice time, and then pump and dump them at the deadline. And it's great for the team acquiring them because they get a good player. It's great for the terrible team that gets the bunch of draft picks and prospects and whatever in return. The Blackhawks are doing that. The Red Wings are more of a, hey, we're trying to get better now. And I do feel like Matt Dumba fits that. Don't you think?
Yes. Where's he playing?
Well, that's a good question.
Yeah, the weird thing about the Blackhawks is they have 4 defensemen signed and 3 of them are right-handed.
Wow.
So it's kind of filled out right now for Matt Dumba. But he would fit perfectly on that team because, like I said, they have 4 defensemen. They need another guy, but they have so many right. Maybe they switch somebody to the left side. You're an NHL player. Maybe you can play both sides. But
they could make a trade, too, for somebody. Yeah. Who are the right shot defensemen they have signed?
They got Seth Jones, Nikita Zaitsev, Connor Murphy, and those are their 3
they didn't have to do that Zaitsev deal.
There's
Why did they
a really
do that?
good chance Zaitsev doesn't even play.
That's true. Like there's room on this team for Matt Dumba. It's a good place for him to go because he's going to be surrounded by some young talent. And like you said, it's a pump and dump situation for a lot of guys in Chicago where they have 3 forwards signed through next year and 2 defensemen.
Man.
The rest are UFAs and RFAs, and then everybody else is out the door.
Detroit makes some sense, guys, because I'm seeing on the right side here, Seider, Hall, Sherratt. So if you can move Hall down, ideally to the third pair, and Sherratt's your 7 guy, right? He's expensive for a 7 guy.
So much.
Yeah. Okay, Oli Mata then. Oli Mata's on the left.
I don't see it. I think it's going to end up being Arizona.
Yeah.
I just don't.
I'm trying to expand the look.
Don't rule out Chicago. I won't
rule them out.
They have 4 defensemen. They need to go shopping for something.
If you're Matt Dumba, so again, we're talking about Klingberg, right? Let's look at what happened to him. He went to a really bad team, got lots of opportunity because he was on a really bad team, and he had a bad season because he was on a bad team, and his value went from $7 million to 4.15, right? So Dumba, I don't think wants the same fate. You go to Arizona, pretty good chance you're running their top power play, which will at very least feature Clayton Keller. You know what I mean? Probably a couple really talented young guys. Better situation than the Ducks was last year.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, this is how many times are you going to hear me go to bat for the Coyotes? I think this is a better situation for him. That definitely not Detroit.
Right. Yeah.
They sort of made their bed with the Hall signing.
Yep.
Ottawa did too.
Chicago could make some sense.
Ottawa did too with Travis Hamonic. And I guess that they can't spend that much money, but Ottawa would make some sense, don't you think? Like
Hamonic makes less than a third of what Hall does. Isn't that nuts? Hall makes 3.4.
Justin Hall.
Justin Hall, sorry.
Yeah, I don't know.
Hall makes 3.4. I do not, more than maybe any other free agent, I don't know where that number came from.
Well, his agent deserves a definite raise. Now let's move on to the next one here. Patrick Kane. Now it's fascinating because he wanted to be a Ranger. He got to be a Ranger. They didn't quite get there. They didn't quite get to where they wanted to go. But I'm wondering, okay, so they've got. Does he? Yeah, he's got. He's coming off the hip surgery. He played pretty well. Is there a chance that Buffalo takes a shot at a guy who, frankly, is from there? I don't know. I don't really know where to place him. I have no idea where a guy like that would want to go. And who's going to have the room? Because again, Buffalo's got about $5 million in cap space, but I'm sure they could move somebody. If he wants to. And what's his number anyway?
I don't think we see Patrick Kane signed till December. He can't play. He's out 4 to 6 months as of his hip surgery. So that's mid-June, I think he got it. So let's say he's healthy by October, November.
American Thanksgiving-ish.
Yeah, around there. So we're getting to the December range that I'm talking about.
Between the Thanksgivings.
Yeah, somewhere in there, he's kind of healthy. Season. At that point, you kind of pick and choose which team think has got a best chance at a Stanley Cup, plus the $1.5 million, $2 million that you might sign for. If league min's all they have, then that's it. Maybe it's a Blake Wheeler type deal because he's made his money. He's good. He just wants to go play somewhere to win. And
I respect what Blake Wheeler did, honestly.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
I do.
There's probably more money out there for him, and
of course,
and there probably will be next year too.
Of course.
Oh yeah. But I think it's a similar situation with Patrick Kane, where he waits till the season starts. It's already there, and you jump on a team that looks like they're going to be a contender.
The next one is Vlad Tarasenko, another right winger, another former Ranger, and it looks as though they're leaning right now towards the Carolina Hurricanes, but we know the Senators, the Islanders, and the Kraken have all made offers, and the offers have been, if reports are to be believed, some are as many as 3 or 4 years long.
Still a great player.
He is.
Right?
So it's fascinating to see a guy like Tarasenko available, and he's 31. And what's that number going to be, too?
There's very obviously a lot of unfinished business, and we've hit a bit of a log jam or bottleneck, whatever you want to call it. There are some teams who did virtually nothing. in free agency, and I don't think it's because they didn't want to. Seattle, who did they really get? I'm trying to think.
No, but not.
Who were their big names?
I don't think there were any.
Right? I wouldn't call them a loser of this deadline, but like it sure seems like, think of how hard we just tried to figure out where Matt Dumba's going to go. Right? Like right-handed defensemen are at a premium, but they've also run out of homes.
Yeah, if CJ did say on the podcast, he's like, you don't sign July 1st, you really run the risk of not getting a contract.
And the reason I bring up right-handed defenseman is Erik Karlsson is rumored to be going to Seattle. So
that seems like a foregone conclusion at this point.
There's a few things really holding everything up, and that might be the biggest one because we know what's happening. And the Sharks, like, you look at teams that are going to bottom out this year, there's not nearly as many candidates as there were last year.
Because there's no Connor Bedard at the end of the rainbow.
Yeah, but I can see the Sharks bottoming out pretty hard.
Well, they need to.
Well, they also just don't have an abundance of talent.
On the next on the list is Patrice Bergeron, who I think if he signs, he's going to go back to Boston, so we can move on from that.
I think Tarasenko, by the way, is Carolina Hurricane. You know?
I think that makes a lot of sense. Yeah,
they have the room; they're going to do it.
I think you're right.
I also think that for whatever he doesn't bring defensively, Carolina does.
They don't need it.
No.
Yeah.
That's the great thing about the way the Hurricanes are built is you can bring in guys like D'Angelo, I guess. They like him because he's cheap. Plays no defense.
Burns.
You could bring in Brent Burns, who also wasn't known for staunch defense.
No.
D'Angelo, by the way, isn't a Carolina Hurricane
Not
because
till July 9th.
They're not allowing it. It's what day?
4 days.
4 days. It's
July
still,
5th.
It's
Happy
still
Tony
not allowed.
D'Angelo Day. It's July 9th.
He's not a Hurricane, you guys.
Number 5 on the list is Thomas Tatar. Now, he plays right and left wing. This is a guy that had 20 goals, 48 points in 82 games last year. And, you know, I think it's interesting.
20 goals?
Yeah, he did. He did. And he only scored once in the Devils playoff run for 12 games. But if you're looking for depth scoring, and when I say depth, I say, I would say middle six, like low top 6, high top 9. Does that make sense?
What a weird player.
Weird player, because he's gone to a bunch of places. He's clearly valuable. Like, look what Montreal gave up for him.
Pretty consistently.
Or sorry, Vegas.
Pretty consistently not really looked at or depended on. In
He plays
playoffs.
zero defense. That's why.
Thomas Tatar is 32 years old.
I know.
That's insane to me. He was on the 2010 Red Wings.
Jesus.
What?
Remember he emerged out of nowhere? That was a crazy
Played
run.
9 games for the 2010 Red Wings.
Wow.
I had no idea he was this old.
Yeah, man. He's been
Wow.
around for a while. He played for the Good Wings.
The Good Wings. That was a run they went on, that team. That was a crazy run.
Of course.
Another one that people don't pay enough attention to, and it's actually surprising given who Detroit picked up, the Pius Suter, who's a guy who can play depth center and left wing. 14 goals and 24 points last year.
We're going to hate that you called him that.
Why?
Puce.
Oh, okay. Well, is it Puce?
Puce.
Oh, I've actually heard people call him Pius.
I know.
Puce.
Because that's how it's spelled. But
Well,
Puce Suter.
okay, well there you go. Listen, I'm actually kind of surprised. Analytics loves this guy. Middle 6 kind of center. Like, is he all that different from David Kampf?
That's sort of the first guy I thought of. He's just, there's just not a ton there, but if you need an abundance of nothing to happen, he can be pretty good for you.
You do need busy nothing players
You do need busy nothing.
who do something, right? David Kampf kills penalties. That's, I think, the reason they locked him up. And I also think, you could do a lot worse than $2.5 million over, on the next few years on the cap. But it does make me wonder, had Toronto waited, could they have gotten a better deal at that position? Closer to the 1.5, maybe $1 million range for a 1 year.
No one's as good at defense as David Kampf.
DK?
Yeah.
I liked him in
DK 1D?
He was one of I don't know, 4 good Leafs against the Panthers.
Right. Martin Jones is somehow still somebody that people want. 887 save percentage. I don't think he's had a save percentage.
Is he signed?
He's not signed, but there are apparently people talking about him. And the one that keeps coming up is Tampa for their backup goaltender situation. Watch, they'll turn him into a really good goalie.
They signed someone too as a goalie, and I remember being confused. Who'd they get? Who's Tampa got in net?
I'll tell you in half a second.
Yeah, Jesse's looking it up right now.
I do think it's quite funny that Martin Jones is like, he's been bad for so long, but there are certain people, and I think Cam Ward was the last one where, they have a couple of runs and then everybody remembers them for the couple of runs that they had. But let me run you through Martin Jones's save percentage since 17-18. His last great year in 17-18, .915 save percentage with the San Jose Sharks. He was 30-22-6, 255 goals against average. The next year, .896. The next year, .896. The next year, .896. The next year in Philly, 900. Whoa.
Ew.
Still below average, but better. And then in Seattle this year, an .887, despite going 27-13. That Seattle team was really good.
It was so good to start, too.
He had a good little run for a couple of months there last season. You're thinking of Jonas Johansson.
Right, and he's not going to play higher than third.
No, he's there like going to be the third, fourth goalie maybe.
Yeah.
I just find it funny that with a guy like Jaro Halak or even Alex Stalock available, that Martin Jones would be coming up before those guys.
Halak's a little older.
Stalock had a good year.
Yeah, he's got the injury question. Let's be honest, Tampa's going to end up getting one of those guys. Here, wait. I do have a great tweet.
Oh, give it to me.
From Acton of Foolaman. I am truly fascinated how Martin Jones keeps getting work. In the last 5 years, there are 56 goalies who have played at least 100 games. By save percentage, Jones is 56th. And then he has a follow-up tweet. Maybe he looks better by advanced metrics. He does not. So mean.
True. I've never understood it.
He did win. He did win a lot of games for Seattle last season.
It means something?
Yeah. It's like pitcher wins. They don't really mean a lot, but they kind of do mean a lot if your team keeps winning.
Here's why it makes sense for Tampa. Because they, like Seattle, are strong team defense.
You need a goalie.
Yeah, but Seattle managed to make that work. And Tampa, I think they have more high-end superpower stars, no question, but they are a full team. You know what I mean? So is Seattle. I can see it.
The way Vasilevsky spoke after this past season, and, oh man, I played a lot of games, and I don't remember.
That was your choice, Andre.
Well, yeah, but you should maybe look into getting someone who could, can you take, I'm not saying, drag Vasilevsky down and all of a sudden he's a 45.
Can he be a 55 guy?
Yeah. We're talking about going from 60 to 55.
Martin Jones, I think he said, he had 27 wins this year.
Yeah. Can someone take an additional 5 games away from Vasilevsky? That's the sort of guy I would look for if I was Tampa.
Okay.
Might win a cup.
Looks like it's Martin Jones. 38-year-old, and they used to say his name wrong in the video games, Zach Parse, or Parise for the rest of us. We don't know if he's going to retire or not. Lou Lamoriello did say there would be a spot on the roster for the Islanders if he didn't retire, and his cap hit last year was $750,000. But I wonder, are the Islanders where he wants to play?
Here's one. What if they've already signed him and Lou Lamoriello's just being difficult to get?
That's probably could be that. Yeah. Get an announcement in training camp.
That's 100% what's going to happen.
Another guy with surgery and injury questions and long COVID, unfortunately, too, is Jonathan Toews. Mm-hmm. This is a guy who is he's deliberating his future, according to Pat Brisson. But if he does play, even if you hit your biggest expectation of him is 60 games and 25 points, there's a lot of value to what he brings defensively. And I think there's a reason why he was considered, the best center in the league for a little while there in terms of what he brought on both sides of the puck. Obviously he's, in the Sidney Crosby era. So Sidney Crosby was the best center in the league, but you know what I'm saying, right? It's sort of there's something that Toews brings in terms of intelligence. The Blackhawks, off ice issues with the obvious aside, there was never anybody saying that he was a bad leader in the locker room in terms of playing. You know what I mean? I know it's an awkward statement to make, but it was never he's never been accused of some of the things other captains have.
Yeah, no one should be confused about what we're saying.
Yes.
Winnipeg is an interesting fit.
It's from there.
Yeah, hometown boy, but also there's a voice vacuum left by Blake Wheeler's absence. Mm-hmm. And, whether you think that voice was a good one or not, that's fine, but the voice is gone, right? And do other voices get louder? Do you want those voices to get louder? Scheifele, potentially. The Jets, Friedge was talking about they just want to breathe. They just want to take a moment. I mean, at some point, you're going to have to get back to action, though.
Yep.
Yeah. And you also got to sell fans on the season.
Yep.
Here's what we're going to do. Right? So I don't know if it's the best for the fan base to have them sit all summer. Not only do you not know if Scheifele's coming back, but you don't know if Hellebuck's coming back.
Yep.
Right? I don't think that's the best situation for anybody. So at some point, they're going to have to get back to action, make a decision with those guys, and, maybe bring in Taves.
I think retirement's on the table for Jonathan Taves.
It probably ought to be.
35. You missed the entire 21-22 season. At this past trade deadline, you were so injured and banged up that there was no market for you and you couldn't be traded. It's got to be a serious consideration for him at this point in his career.
Like Adam just mentioned, a 60-game, 25-point player. What are you going to be a third, fourth liner on another team for? Retire a Blackhawk.
Yeah.
Leave that legacy.
It's not even like you look at like the games played and all that. It's the body miles that Jonathan Taves has more than like any other player.
Well, you're borrowing, when you're an athlete, you're borrowing against your future too, right? You're
the back end of your life.
Being an athlete is, I don't know if you realize this, horrible for your body. And a lot of people don't look at it that way, but the way that they train and the physical punishment that they take, watch Shaq walk.
Oh, dude, meet any older athlete. Older hockey players, except for Gary Roberts. Older hockey players, I wouldn't classify him as older, but I'm talking about guys like 60 and up. Older hockey players have simultaneously more and fewer knuckles than the rest of us. I don't know how to describe it other than like their hands are fucking huge.
Yeah.
Swollen, don't bend.
Yeah.
And that's just the hands.
Yeah. You got to get into yoga after your career.
Yeah, the amount of back problems.
Back, it's terrible.
Ankle, all the scars age too.
Yes, and you have to break up the scar tissue too. You got to go for treatments to do that.
But even on the face, I'm saying.
Oh,
like it's like your face kind of continues to grow like around the scar.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Funny with Boreas Salming, he had that big 100-stitch scar through his face, and you'd never noticed it when you got older.
Wore it.
Well, I don't think you noticed it though when you got older, right?
No, it's because it like went perfectly into like his lines or whatever.
And his perfectly sculpted face. Guy was a beautiful man.
It's the second time we brought up the Leafs Red Wings alumni game on this show, but he was the oldest guy on either team and easily in the best shape of anyone.
Absolutely,
easily.
Denis Gurianov is one that that Luke Fox brings up, and I think it's because he had a 20-goal season for the Dallas Stars 3 years ago, but is not worth the $3 million he was paid last year. What's interesting with Gurianov, and I'm actually sort of surprised that this is happening for a lot of players. We saw Semyon Durachenkov go sign at the KHL. That apparently there is more money available in Russia for him than there is in North America.
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, is that what you want to do? I mean, that's a very personal thing, right? So if he's going to stay in the NHL, I could see Seattle being a good fit.
One last name. Oh, sorry.
Steve,
go ahead, Jess. Go ahead.
Before yesterday's show, I think it was, we were talking about SDA signing in the KHL.
Oh, that's right.
And I gave you the amount he signed in rubles, and you wanted to guess what it was in US dollars.
What did you say? 46 million rubles?
I'm trying to just get the number here. I think it's 46 million rubles. Yeah.
Because I know Radulov signed for something like, I want to say his contract was like nearly 1 billion rubles or something like that. And it's like, okay, what does that mean? I can't imagine the rubles doing too hot.
Adam, you can also get on this. So I'm going to do 46 million rubles to CAD.
Feels like USD.
Okay,
because that's how they all get paid.
Yeah, that's how they get.
I'm going to say $3 million.
I think it's less.
Holy shit! Really?
Is
that how bad the ruble's fallen?
I'm going to say 1.4.
46 million rubles to USD is $500,000.
What?
Wow, the ruble's fallen a lot. You remember what was Kovalchuk? I remember they had it in rubles, and it was like 21 million rubles a year, but that was working out to like $14 million or something, or whatever it was. The ruble's fallen a lot. That's crazy.
46 million rubles is 507,000 American dollars. And, that is a big downward line.
Yeah, but the economic state of the ruble.
Well, why is it spike? Like, why would it ever spike up? Who's like, yeah, let's buy rubles today?
It wasn't a very big spike.
Yeah, it wasn't a very big spike. Wow. That is some consistent droppage. Yeah, well.
You guys were a little off.
That's okay.
You lose trivia this time.
Nah, it's all right. We'll handle it.
500 grand.
One other UFA that was linked to the Leafs, and I think it's an interesting one, is for any team really, is Josh Bailey. The ability to play center, the ability to obviously play wing most of the time. He had something like, I just had his numbers up and I deleted them. I believe
8 goals, 17 assists, 25 points in 64 games.
So not great.
And his defensive metrics aren't great either.
Right. I wonder if that's a guy that, goes for a league min, tries to rehab his career on a good team.
Well, at this point, that's all that's left. I can't imagine him getting more than that basically anywhere. Maybe as a vet, he gets 800, 900, something like that. I don't see him getting a job as a center. Like, let's say he signed with the Leafs, right? You have Domi, who's not even a full-time center, but he's a better center. You have Yarncroke, who's definitely not a full-time center, and I would probably be more comfortable with Yarncroke.
Yeah, Kampf.
You have Kampf. Dude, even Dylan Gambrell, I think, is a more solidified
Pontus Holmberg
center at this point. Pontus Holmberg.
I think a lot of people who know are saying that this could be the year for Holmberg to break into the NHL lineup full time.
Sure. Why not? I mean, you need young value. He's making 25 grand above league minimum. Good on him. I could see that for the Leafs, but I don't even know if he necessarily makes the team at a camp. He could potentially go on waivers.
It's
tough go, man. It's hard. It's a hard league to stay in.
Josh Bailey's career was kind of trending in the complete opposite direction from where it is now during the back-to-back Eastern Conference Finals runs. He seemed like such an important piece of those Islanders teams when they were going to the finals there, and then just took a sharp downturn like the ruble in the last couple of years.
Shut up. What I'm trying to look up is. So who did he play with? Oh, it was
just the Islanders, yeah. And then they moved him to Chicago, and they bought out his contract. So he was supposed to be signed to another season with the Islanders at that $5 million number, but Chicago took the contract and bought it out.
The one thing I'd say, just looking at his numbers, is last year was very obviously the bad outlier, and I guess teams are predicting. This is just what he is from now on.
Yeah.
But I'm just looking at his last 3 seasons. This is wild. 4 penalty minutes, 6 penalty minutes, 2 penalty minutes.
Lady Bing.
I think someone can pick him up. Someone can pick him up and he could be okay. And his last playoff run, 13 points in 19 games.
And the previous one, the 20 points in 22 games.
Where was that? Oh, the previous playoff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Good playoff performer.
I mean, he's obviously got a gear, but that's also a
couple years ago. If you're one of the cap teams, this is the type of player that you try to take a risk on. You invite them to camp, and the Leafs have the advantage. Josh Bailey's from, I believe, from Bowmanville.
He's from Bowmanville.
So I think you have that opportunity. But listen, come to camp. There are spots available. Come to camp, fit and ready to go. Take advantage of our medical facilities, kind of like Tyler Ennis did, extending his career through 4 years.
Yeah.
And maybe you surprise and somebody either picks you up or we sign you to a contract and move somebody else out.
There's the Marley I see coming up, other than Holmberg, is Bobby McMahon. And I think if the Leafs signed Josh Bailey, there would still be room for that. Beyond that, you either want guys who are going to be in the lineup every night or they're developing on the Marlies.
Yeah.
So Alex Steves, I don't want sitting. I want him on the Marlies. Nick Robertson, I think what's best for him is probably, unless he's lights out in preseason, he should start on the Marlies. So, yeah, this could be a situation for Josh Bailey. And I'll throw it out there because of the Bowmanville thing. Belleville's pretty close to Bowmanville, and that's where the Sens farm team is.
Oh, that's interesting.
And also, I guess you're about a quarter of the way to Ottawa. So
I think
maybe the Sens.
I think there's an NHL job for.
I think you're right.
I
think
You got to give it a shot.
I don't think at this point he wants to be an AHL player.
So some RFAs to work through. Alex DeBrincat's interesting.
We didn't do the Edmonton trifecta.
No, I was just going off of the article. What Edmonton trifecta?
There's Clefbaum, Ethan Bear, and Puljujärvi. They're all UFAs still.
Well,
is Clefbaum?
Clefbaum's never playing again.
Yeah, I don't think.
Oh, he's done.
His shoulders.
Forever?
I think his shoulders fucked.
Oh, okay.
It's too bad because
I've never heard anyone mention his name.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ethan Bear is an interesting one. I think that was just cap, right? They had to move out Costin and
injury.
An injury.
Yeah.
And then who was the last one? The
Puljujärvi, who's injured as well.
Double hip.
Man, I wonder if Puljujärvi to me seems like if he does get a job, it's midseason as well, like a depth pickup. What a bummer with that career.
I think some team out there is going to try to get clever, sneak him to the minors, and have him do his rehab down there.
Maybe the Leafs will do that.
It could happen.
They got the money to do it, right? It's having the money to outfit your AHL team with big bucks.
You know who's exactly the sort of person who would have done that?
Dubas.
So, potentially Pittsburgh. That could be interesting. I just think there's too much talent there. He's an NHL player. How good of an NHL player he is a topic of debate. He's an NHL player. Does he have a strong defensive game? Yes.
So that's the thing. That is valuable.
Of course.
Especially from a winger.
Of course. I think he's the sort of guy you take a bet on.
Okay, to the UFA. Alex DeBrincat. Apparently, Dallas, Detroit, Long Island, and Nashville are all interested in Alex DeBrincat. His qualifying number is just under $9 million.
He ain't getting it.
He's not. Well, I mean, here's the thing. The Sens did qualify him, but they didn't sign him. It's not signed.
Right.
He doesn't want to sign there. What do you think happens here, guys?
I still think it's going to end in a trade.
To Nashville, to me.
Nashville would be...
Who's going to score for the Predators? Like, I know they don't care about scoring anymore because Barry Trotz is there, but they have to... You do have to score a goal to win a game.
Yeah, if it's not the kids, I don't know who it is. Well, Filip Forsberg, obviously.
If he's back and healthy.
Jeez, that'd be a hell of a right side. Woo! Although, Filip Forsberg, I want to say he plays left. Holy shit. Ryan O'Reilly with Filip Forsberg and Alex DeBrincat could be some fun.
They do have that extra Tampa pick, that first-round pick that they acquired, that they could give up in the deal if it requires a first-round pick to get DeBrincat.
I think because Dorian gave up a really good first-round pick for him, I wonder if he's probably thinking like, hey, I need to at least look good here for my new owner.
Just so got their page up. God, they have so many free agents.
Oh, yeah, coming up next season. Yeah.
Look at all that.
I don't know, that extra Tampa pick next year, if you bring in a player like DeBrincat, it's the same idea what Ottawa did. You trade away that pick because you're getting a player who you hope that pick turns into, and you get him now. So I don't know. If Nashville wants to keep going with this retool on the fly thing, DeBrincat would be a great option.
Unless Saros gets hurt, you're never going to be bad enough.
Right.
6 years in the league, he only has 1 year where he went below 20 goals. Mm-hmm. That's value, man.
Is that good?
That's pretty damn good. He's got 2 41 goal years, 27, a 28, a 32, and an 18. Those are 187 goals in 450 games is not bad. Now, I know who he played with in Chicago. I'm aware of that. But the reality of the situation is he a line driver himself? No.
Apparently not.
But I think that if you look at, say, to me, Nashville makes the most sense because they're the ones who are the most aggressive. Detroit's got the money, and they have made some odd moves, and we're going to do a little snapshot of Detroit next. The Islanders always need goals.
Yeah.
But to me, DeBrincat on the Islanders means he has to play a lot more defense than he probably wants to.
Yeah, I mean, also things change.
Yeah.
Like at some point, you think the Islanders might go, we never score.
Mm-hmm. What if
we did?
One team that lacked high-end scoring from individuals and not just from a team perspective was Seattle. They were great at putting up goals together as a unit, but nobody kind of stood out. And if you bring in DeBrincat, like there might be an opportunity. Hey, now we have our game breaker.
Yeah, I think their swing is Karlsson. Be fun to see both.
Mm-hmm. Karlsson, there's still that weird Carolina buzz that they could reunite Burns and Karlsson, even though it didn't work for all those years in San Jose. But that's still a possibility.
I don't get it.
But yeah, Seattle, I don't know. Seattle, I think, could go after DeBrincat.
That'd be cool. That'd be cool to see. Vince Dunn is number 2 on the list. Now, we expect that there probably will be some sort of extension from Seattle. But man, I got to say, for St. Louis to give up Pietrangelo and then Vince Dunn within like 18 to 20 months that's a head. And I'm a big fan of Armstrong, but man.
And Tarasenko and Barbashev and Ryan O'Reilly. Like,
do any of those deals happen if Pietrangelo doesn't leave town? If they didn't go out and pay too much money, I think, for Torrey Krug, right?
Who they tried to trade and then couldn't.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right?
It's not good, man.
Because I don't think if the Blues are good, Barbashev and O'Reilly and Achari are staying. Vince Dunn never got a spot in that lineup because they're a defenseman factory in St. Louis. But he was expected to be very good there. So it's interesting to see. They're saying his number could be as high as $8.1 million per year.
Speaking of the St. Louis defenseman.
So over 8 years.
So if San Jose retains, I think it's 40%, Carlson becomes 8 times 4. So do you say you move out Vince Dunn and you bring in Erik Karlsson?
So what's happening is no one's able to find any money out there.
Mm-hmm.
Moving out Karlsson would free up some money for San Jose. Yes, unfortunately, you have to sign for a team that's probably got a long road ahead. But if you want your money, San Jose could be a solution for Vince Dunn.
And maybe you could get more money because they're going to be bad. And they've just traded for you.
Yep. Yeah, especially because that factor, when you're an RFA and somebody trades for you, you have to sign the deal. No matter what, you can't lose that player.
Yeah.
So,
look at the Severson contract. Could Vince Dunn ask for at least that?
Exactly.
They're saying 8 over 8.
That's what I'm saying, man.
Yeah. So if Vince Dunn maybe wants a $9 million contract, getting a trade to San Jose might be useful.
Also, you get to live in San Jose.
Yeah, you're
pretty great
place. Yeah.
Troy Terry is available as an RFA. Listen, you would think is a part of what they're trying to put together, but they have not said much about where this is going to go.
Look for the Penguins there.
Is Dubas a big fan?
Dubas was into him.
Okay.
No, they got both deals to figure out. They'll do both.
And they have more money.
So Zegras and Troy Terry need their RFA deals because they're currently unsigned. But I think they're trying to figure out what's the number where these two are going to be locked up forever, and they're going to be the cornerstones of the team.
Anaheim is currently $6 million under the floor.
The floor?
Yeah.
So the bad teams are kind of done bottoming out, right? So the Ducks could unload those guys. Just keep them.
Yeah. No. There's no way you unload Zegras and Terry.
K'Andre Miller is available as well and is an RFA. Now they have already massive money committed to Adam Fox and Jake Trouba, but K'Andre Miller is a guy that you must hold on to.
Yeah, well, both those guys you just mentioned play the right. I'm a huge believer of K'Andre Miller. They got to lock him up.
I wonder with him though, do you go with a shorter term deal? It allows him to make more money in the future, but it allows you to get him at a smaller number right now, keep this Rangers team together and as competitive as you possibly can, and then go, we'll see where Trouba is when his contract's up, and then we'll bump you and you can get the big 8-year deal at that point.
This to me is the perfect situation for an offer sheet. And all the GMs in the National Hockey League are so afraid
they won't do it.
of fucking just rubbing their buddy the wrong way. Because then you got to go to the GM meetings and see him. And he's like, oh, you offer sheeting my guy and I don't like you now. No, I'm not doing deals with you and blah, 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 blah. But K'Andre Miller, to force the Rangers' hand, who are cap strapped, like they don't have all this cap room to make all these signings. Go offer him something for a second round pick, like that 4.2. I pulled up the offer sheet compensation. If you're under 4.2, it's only a second round pick. If you got your own second round pick, he's ripe for that.
I like how that's a cardinal sin, but like going out and getting like a player whose sole purpose is to beat the shit out of your team. Like Pat Verbeek gonna get shit at the GM meetings for signing Radko Gudas?
He ought to. He's gonna get high fives.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Good job. No, they're gonna be like anyone in the Pacific Division should be like, fuck you, man, for going out and getting that bearded lunatic. How dare you?
Here.
Yeah.
To this division.
I will not help you.
Good job with the Gudas signing. Meanwhile, offer sheet. Hey, fuck you.
I
don't get it.
They're so like we're going through a lot of good players.
Very good.
This one stands out to me as a guy who you take advantage of the Rangers situation. You make them pay $4.2 million for Keandre Miller if they want to keep him, and it's only costing you a second. I don't know. Get bold, do something.
Evan Bouchard is an RFA.
Speaking of situation,
Offer sheet there too.
17-point postseason. And Ken Holland said on June 29th, it's going to have to be a bridge deal. They know it. We know it. And I think that makes sense for both sides. But you have to remember, even though his production dipped in the regular season this year, back-to-back 40-point seasons, and probably a number one power play quarterback. And also with Ekholm there, the pressure's off a little bit. It seems to make sense that he would stay there. It's the best opportunity for him.
You're really risking losing him, like in the long term. I mean, because you're going to bridge him, and then he's going to have 2 years as your team's number one power play option
with McDavid and Draisaitl. And Kane?
What's the floor? 50 points, 60 points, 70 points, and then.
But if you win the cup, do you care?
So this is the thing. There are situations where it doesn't make sense to do that. The Oilers, man, just cobble that team together. You might win. You could win back-to-back cups. They're that good.
Yep.
Right? Even if you only get one only. I think you feel pretty good about it. So, the bridge makes sense in this very specific situation. For most other teams, I'd call that not a great situation.
The way Vegas took care of the Oilers, it I soured on them a little bit. Where it's like you can't just have these two guys and everything's taken care of. Yeah, but like every year there might be that team.
That's so true. Edmonton has lost to the Cup champs.
Colorado the year before.
Of the past 2 years.
So I don't know. I think they need a more complete team here.
Also, Evan Bouchard looks about 10 years older than he is. Like he's a full man. He's not a 23-year-old.
Who was the guy who got drafted? Who was an adult?
Dude.
Well, not Matty Beniers last year. But who was the guy this year?
Oh, I forget his name.
He was drafted by the Jets. I forget his name.
He had the biggest beard. He was a full adult.
I can't grow a beard like that.
What a narc.
Number 7 on Luke Fox's list is Ilya Samsonov.
Hey, I'm so happy to join the Winnipeg Jets. And also, do you know where I could buy some drugs?
Samsonov loves Toronto. He said, I want to stay here. It's no surprise here for everybody. We'll see. This is not my work anymore. He said, I love my teammates. I like just about everybody in this locker room. Tough season on the results. Not what we wanted, but apparently he wants term. And I've been meaning to ask you guys this. We didn't get to it yesterday. Steve and I were too busy slap fighting. And by the way, don't worry, DMers, we're okay. It's just a hockey conversation. The question I would have, guys, is what is your number for Ilya in terms of per year and term? Goalies to term is very risky. The cap is going up. And, he's a good year, and then he did not a great year in Washington, which is why they didn't qualify him.
How close is 4 times 4? There's some term.
Mm-hmm.
It's not full term, but there's some term.
So it's less than the Korpisalo deal. But Korpisalo is a UFA, right? So
Korpisalo, I think, strangely has higher value. He's been around. I know. He's been around for longer. He's been more coveted for some reason. I don't know what it is. People have been looking at Korpisalo as a guy who could break out. Columbus held on to him because they knew he had value. The Capitals let Ilya walk. They let him go, and the Leafs were able to sign him to 1.8. He left money on the table, but like how much? Like, did someone offer him 2.5? Something like that? Korpisalo just got what? 5 years?
5 years.
Times what?
I think it was $4 million.
4.
I think 4 times 4 is about right. It'd be nice to get him under 4 per year.
It's definitely not anywhere north of that. Like Aiden Hill just signed for 4.9, and that dude just carried a team to the Stanley Cup.
Exactly.
It's not anywhere high 4s.
I was thinking 3.1 to 3.5.
Yeah, that sounds a lot better.
Maybe
What's
3
the
years.
term, though?
3 years.
3. I mean, I'd like that deal. I'd sign that in a heartbeat.
Mm-hmm.
do have a pet theory or a pet idea. There's two goalies people keep talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Connor Hellebuck
mm-hmm.
and John Gibson. Any deal for either of those two, I think, would have to include Ilya Samsonov. If the Leafs were to go out.
Why would they? Now, tell me about this. I know why the Leafs would want to take a look at a guy like Hellebuck. Who wouldn't?
Yes.
Why would the Leafs be interested in 4 more years at John Gibson at $6.4 million?
So
who has been bad?
That doesn't make much sense.
Oh, I know. We get stuck in our hockey Twitter, whatever, echo chamber about how Gibson's bad. Man, all the traditional hockey folks are so convinced he's good. I'm not saying they're right, even. But everyone seems convinced that, like on 32 Thoughts, you should have heard how glowingly they spoke about him. And he was the only reason the Ducks were in a bunch of those games.
I can understand a goaltender's stats and even advanced stats being bad, although advanced stats are supposed to tell you even when the team's bad that the player's good. Right. And they can't always. They're just not at that point yet.
No.
But I'm trying to, and again, I was going to bed early, so I didn't get to see as much Western Conference hockey as I wanted to see last year. I'm trying to understand how, okay, Samsonov at 3.5, okay, for 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
I would qualify that as a risk. There is a risk to that because he could go back to being a pumpkin a little bit like he was. Although this guy was a first-round pick, he's won at every single level with the national teams.
I'd say he probably doesn't.
I would say he probably doesn't too. To expect the same season out of him next year as he gave us last year maybe is too much. Mm-hmm. But I do think he's got a better backup in Joseph Woll coming in, who is going to push him way better than Murray. And I think so. I think the goaltending situation is overall better. Is it a bigger risk to have him at say 3 to 3.5 retain? Not retained. 3 to 3.5 on the 3-year deal, or John Gibson 50% retained, which is about the same money for 4 years. So, and I'm taking the younger goalie on that one.
You're looking at them as equal. I'm not sure that's how it's viewed in hockey circles.
I think
they view Gibson as better.
John Gibson had 4-5 straight years as a 1A, 1B goaltender where he was one of the best in the league.
Yes.
He has a proven track record, and that in hockey circles it upholds. Once you have that streak of like 4 years in a row as a really good goaltender, you get that for the rest of your career.
I am not saying this is what I would do.
No, me neither.
But I do wonder if it's been looked at.
I understand the thinking about John Gibson being a really good goaltender. Like I think a lot of people view him as that because he has been that for consecutive years. And then what
does that say about the Ducks?
When Anaheim got bad, his numbers dipped because he wasn't on a good team, and that's how it works. But under a good team, every year he made the playoffs, he had a good save percentage.
He sure did. How long has it been?
Pre-COVID.
2018 was the last time. 2019 is the last time John Gibson had a save percentage above .905 for the season.
See, I don't know why you go because the Leafs went into last year with Matt Murray as the supposed starter, right? That was and they got lucky with Samsonov. They really did.
Honest to goodness,
that was not Dubas's brain.
That was the plan.
It was Matt Murray, and I hope somebody else takes this other job.
The plan was for Matt Murray to be the starter.
And then the Cap said, "No, what? We want Darcy Kemper. We're going to release Samsonov Samsonov, and that'll." And so Dubas got lucky. You can't give him the genius brain on that one.
Nope, he straight up got lucky.
So you've just gone through that where you skated on a really risky proposition and somebody else came in and saved your ass. Because if we had gone through last year with Matt Murray as the goaltender, Kyle Dubas getting an extension would not even have been a conversation. Let's be honest about that. If we had Matt Murray as the starting goaltender last year and no Samsonov, where would the Leafs be?
But he would have made subsequent moves. Like it doesn't mean like Matt Murray would have just played the entire 82 games.
Acquire a starting goaltender mid-season.
He would have done something because Matt Murray would have been injured, right?
Right.
He would have done something, and we don't know what happened in that reality.
I guess I'm just saying that I don't expect that he would have fumbled his way into Jesse a .919 save percentage.
Oh yeah, there's no way I think that they should go after Gibson over Samsonov. Like I think Samsonov's your guy at that number. It seems like a very good number.
I'd love to get in Brad Treliving's brain. because apart from the coach, what has scarred him more over the past few years than goaltending? Jake Markstrom was terrible in his first year in Calgary, elite in his second year in Calgary until the playoffs arrived, and then he was terrible again. And then last year, he was terrible. He cost them a playoff spot.
Yeah, if Jake Markstrom is just like a 904, they're
Stay
good.
in your fucking net.
If he's not on dang it's every week.
Every week. He was brutal. So I'm fascinated by what must Brad Treliving be thinking. Because before Markstrom, he just threw together random shit. He had Mike Smith and Big Save Dave and Cam Talbot and who else?
Vladar played well last season for a little bit.
For a little
Not
bit.
really, yeah.
So Julian McKenzie about once a week goes, what do you think about the Leafs and Vladar? And I go, I don't. I don't.
Yeah.
It should be, we should reach October, game number 1 at Scotiabank Arena. It should be Samsonov and Wool.
I think so.
That's how it should be.
I
don't think we need to overcomplicate it.
I totally agree. Totally agree.
But
how do you get rid of Murray?
Gabe Vilardi is he was traded, as you know, but he is still an RFA. Just want to throw that name out there.
Ooh.
Winnipeg will re-sign him.
Yes.
And maybe that guy is he nominated for the Selke at the end of next year?
The Selke?
Don't you think?
What?
Gabe Vilardi?
Don't you think?
No.
Defensively, one of the strongest players in the league.
Wow.
You don't think so?
No. What?
I'm asking.
When
a
did
question.
he enter that conversation?
Well, I'm taking off of Andy and Rono. They say Gabe Vilardi should definitely be among the top 10 in Selke finalists, maybe even top 5 this year. Problem is, no one talks about him. His defense on their card is rated at a 98%.
Wow.
Just a thought.
Well, I want to see him. Last year was his first real established season on the Kings. I want to see he was waived at the beginning of the season, wasn't he?
Yeah, I think maybe.
Right?
Yeah.
And now you're going to a team that plays hockey differently.
Right.
I think. So I'm curious to see how he does this year. And then maybe we have the Selke conversation, but I'm not doing it friggin' now.
I'm looking at the Selke voting for this year.
Oh, I bet it was terrible. He's not on there.
And he is not on there.
JT Miller is.
JT Miller is.
That is, and that tells you all you need to know about the Selke voting. A couple more names. I'm not going to go through every name on this list, but a couple more names that have come up. Jeremy Swayman in Boston. Obviously, they want to re-sign Swayman and along with Trent Frederick in Boston. What do you think after that run and then the playoff disappointment, which does affect value? They should have moved off Ullmark earlier. There's no question.
Yeah,
What do you think he's worth?
Well, if you're able to bring back that tandem, I think you make the playoffs automatically.
Oh, yeah.
Even though you're losing pieces. Ooh.
The number is so tough because of how little cap space they have.
Yeah. He was quite good. Ooh. I'm looking around the league again. There's just no jobs, right?
Actually, they got $6 million.
Yeah, to sign how many guys though?
Trent Frederick, Ian Mitchell, and Jeremy Swayman. That's it. They can finesse that.
Would that be a 3x3 deal?
That makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah.
You can get him at 3x3. That's great.
But if you're Swayman, do you want 3x3?
And they say, well, yeah, probably not. And your best goaltending years apparently are from 24 to 28.
Now, a lot of players have been doing the 1 year thing. I wonder if that's what Swayman does.
I like a 1 year contract.
Well, if you're the Bruins, it might be the best thing for you because what if you fall out of that playoff conversation?
Yep.
And then all of a sudden
You could trade him for assets or
sell him for
what? Like the worst case scenario is next year. Oh man, he was so good we have to pay him more.
All right. And he's probably still an RFA at the end of that.
Yeah,
deal.
he is. He is 25.
What's the northernmost team in the NHL?
Edmonton.
He's going there.
Why?
He's from North Pole, Alaska.
Okay. There you go. Last one I want to bring up is an interesting one. And I think we're going to have lots of conversation about this guy, especially heading into training camp. This is the former number 1 overall pick, Alexis Lafreniere, who has yet to really establish himself along with Capo Caco in New York the way that they were hoping that those players would. This seems to be the make or break year. What's the right deal for a guy coming off of a rookie contract where he was really only making $925? I don't believe he hit many of his bonuses, if any at all. And really, I mean, it's a deep New York lineup, and that should be good for him because that means that the pressure isn't on him. What do you think?
First, I'd like to apologize to Alaska. Phoenix Copley is from North Pole, Alaska. Jeremy Swayman is from Anchorage.
Oh, way to go, idiot.
You got wrong part of Alaska.
Wow.
Dummy.
Wow.
There's like 3 towns, and I got it wrong.
Where's Sarah Palin from?
Russia?
No, she could see it from her house.
Yeah.
Oh, she can see it from
Yeah.
down the
From
street
there.
from Russia. My bad.
Yeah.
Alexis Lafreniere is so difficult to judge. There's no situation, I think, where trading him really makes much sense. You're trading him at the bottom of his value. You have a new coach.
Oh, but it's Peter.
But it's Peter Laviolette, who's not usually like, sure, rookie, come in and have these undeserved minutes. I genuinely do not have a read
Jesse,
on that situation.
Jesse, you watched a lot of Rangers hockey last year.
I did.
You were a big believer in the Rangers. What did you see?
I saw a player that never got a fair shake in the lineup and hasn't for his entire career because of how much he has been yo-yoed into different positions in the entire, I was going to say top 9, but just in the entire line. He's been on the 4th line for a little bit. And I'd like to see a stable Lafreniere, just like give him a position, let him sit there, let him build some chemistry with some line mates. And they had it for a little bit in the middle of last year, and then it went away. And
Kids.
it was the kid line. Like it was fun to watch, and then they mess it up and they go with a different situation. So having the new coach in there who's not going to do that is going to be interesting to watch. And maybe Laviolette's able to get the potential out of Laugh.
Okay. Wild idea. So I'm looking around the league. Who is possibly comparable to Alexis Lafreniere in terms of age, profile, like where he was drafted, and also needing a new situation?
Shane Wright.
No.
No, come on.
Seattle would never do that deal.
Why don't you just help New York out?
Come on, help the big guys. Whoever helps New York. Come on.
It's just like do a little deal.
Yeah.
What does Detroit need to add to Alexis Lafreniere for Filip Zadina trade?
He was free.
He was free.
I wouldn't trade for somebody who was free.
I'm trying to. Well,
he was on waivers.
This is why I'm trying to get creative about a Lafreniere deal.
It doesn't exist,
and I failed.
You can't trade a number 1 pick that soon.
It's 3 years in the league.
I mean, here's an idea. We always talk about what does the team got to do. How about the player fucking gets better?
Yeah, that
Like-
too.
Yeah.
I think it would
Sometimes
be.
it's that simple.
I think it would be a disservice to the Rangers to give up on their number 1 pick before his second contract.
Okay.
Wait it out a little, give him some stability. Hopefully that's what happens is you wake the guy up and you
Figures it
say,
out.
you got to get a little better here. We need you to be what we think you can be.
Now, the last one I want to bring up, and you just mentioned, how about the player gets better? Jesse, I just sent you a clip of Steve Yzerman. A top 5 pick was waived 4 years into his time with the team, I believe. It's either 4 or 5 years since Zadina was drafted. I think he was a top 5 because remember he was supposed to go like 3, and then he said he was going to fill Montreal's nets full of pucks.
Oh,
Now,
yeah. I think he was 6th.
He did sign. Oh, that's what it is. Okay.
6th overall.
All right.
Yep.
There you go. I should never argue with you on the draft thing. You always know that.
Dumbass.
2018 draft, 6th overall.
2018 draft, Filip Zadina. He has now been waived. Now, I want you to have a look at what Steve Yzerman had to say about it, because the contract, more than the player, caused this.
Am I happy to put him on waivers? No. I signed him to a 3-year contract a year ago because I believed he was going to grow. The reality now is, you wanted that contract. That contract may prevent you from getting that opportunity you're looking for in another organization. That's the reality for him. And unfortunately now,
So I thought that was
situation is if
interesting.
he doesn't get claimed that he's with our organization, there's not much we can do. I'm happy to put him on waivers.
So they sign him. They can't fit him under what they want to do because they haven't seen the growth. He doesn't fit into their lineup projections, and nobody wants to pick him up because he's making close to $2 million.
1.825. I had no idea.
That's a lot of money for a guy like that.
He played 30 games. He had 3 goals, 7 points. Dude, he only played 2 games in Grand Rapids. Like, tell me this guy was hurt
Must have been.
and not like healthy. Because, I mean, at that point, yeah, the Red Wings have to own part of that. Ooh. Again, like I'm just looking around the league for vaguely similar situations. Like, first of all, the pick after Zadina, not to turn the knife, Red Wings fans, was Quinn Hughes.
Oh my God.
That's bad. That's
Ooh.
bad. That's not great.
3 picks later was Evan Bouchard.
What do you do about that?
That's not great.
No. And it's
Imagine Bouchard and Sider on their blue line right now. Wouldn't have had to sign Justin Hall.
Keandre Miller was.
See, this is the thing. When you don't nail the top end of your draft, it costs you millions of dollars.
Dude. But so like I'm like, okay, who's in a vaguely similar situation? I don't know. Vitaly Kravtsov?
I think this is pretty unique, but it does happen.
I think you're just
Like, what's he going to do now?
like, again, just get better.
Go to Grand Rapids, fill the nets full of pucks.
That's your only choice.
Get buried in Grand Rapids. Like, which is going to involve him getting waived again, I'm pretty sure.
Yep. Now, when Yzerman signed him to that deal, he had 24 points, but he was a negative 24 on a horrendous Red Wings team. Boy. You know, it's so funny because he had showed so much flash going in the 19-20 season. When he played 28 games that year, he had 15 points. You know, 8 goals. That's pretty good for a guy coming in. Probably not what they expected. I think they expected a 35-goal guy. But, man, I wonder what happens with him. That's a story I think we got to watch.
I think this is the last year you can get away with doing something like what Yzerman did.
Which is what?
Waiving a young player.
Yeah.
Top 10 pick.
In a situation where people have a little bit more cap room, why not just take a chance and just bury him in your minor system, try and rebuild his career? He's 23.
Well, there's so many teams still trying to do so many things. Zadina becomes available and they're like,
we just simply can't.
We would like to, but we're trying to do other stuff, so we can't.
Yeah. So they're in a different world. The teams are just like, yeah, there's roster space. Just put them there.
Get a place in Grand Rapids, kid.
Right. One interesting thing about the 2018 draft, that was when Carolina finished 11th last in the league. And they won one of the lotteries and moved up to second from 11th worst and drafted Andrei Svechnikov.
Oh, my God.
11 to second. And you get Svechnikov? Like, that's unreal and changed their franchise.
Dallas, if I'm not mistaken, moved up quite a bit when they got Heiskanen. Oh, despicable.
And there were no trades this year.
None.
So I want to get to this. Our free agency winners and our free agency losers. Okay? I asked Steve and Jesse to do some homework on this. And I'm assuming Jesse has and Steve hasn't. Did you do your homework?
Yeah.
Okay, because listen,
up here
there's a track. Okay,
that works.
So why don't we start with you, Jesse?
Okay,
free agency team that you say is a winner. Now this is your favorite team in free agency. They don't have to be the winner for everybody, but they probably are, because in these situations you have to be as right as possible. Who are you giving your free agency winner tag to? So I'm gonna start with the Colorado Avalanche.
Okay.
They are my free agency winner. They started with the tiny piece of work of acquiring Ryan Johansson for 50% retained. They did the Bowen Byram deal, which is a tidy piece of work for $3.85 for 2 years. I didn't hate the Jack Johnson deal at all because it's $775. Who cares? You know,
whatever.
The Jonathan Drouin signing is for under $900,000. It's $825. I think they did a fantastic job of filling out all of the pieces of their lineup because they have the core there to contend for a Stanley Cup. We can all agree that Colorado Avalanche are a Stanley Cup contender right now. And what they did was just supplant the rest of it with great pieces that were very cheap. And now they're still in contention for the Stanley Cup. Like, what more can you ask for out of a franchise that's going for it year in, year out?
Something I'm really excited to see. I know he's only making $825. I know there's an abundance of question marks with him. The Colorado Avalanche did not sign Jonathan Drouin to never once try him with Nathan MacKinnon. He is 100% going to play games, or at very least shifts, with Nathan MacKinnon. And I hope it's magic. I really do. Yeah, I like their.
And then you think of like the Newhook deal and getting assets back from Montreal for that.
31st and 37th pick.
30, yeah. And then
using that to get, it was Colton, wasn't it?
And then you use that to get Ross Colton from the Lightning.
Who is probably better for your team now than Newhook is.
And then
the risk is long term.
I haven't even mentioned, I think, one of their more important deals, which is Miles Wood.
Oh, yeah.
6 years.
For
yeah.
6 years and
you like that?
And 2.5.
I mean, that's not going to hurt. Even
It's
if that
not gonna
doesn't
hurt
work
at
out,
all.
what's $2.5 million when the cap goes up 15%?
Yeah, I guess you're right.
Who cares, right? Like, I feel you're right, Jesse. I think there's a high upside of that working just because the value on that deal in 2 years is going to be crazy.
And those are the contracts that you need. When you're paying Nathan McKinnon $12.6 million, you need the 2.5 guys in the middle of your lineup. And I think Miles Wood's a perfect player for that.
A Miles Wood or like a David Kampf, because I'm just going on the $2.5 million long-term deal thing. Those type of contracts for a player of that ilk, I'm not saying these specific players because you can get injuries, they're going to be $4 million in a couple of years.
Yeah, they don't hurt you.
They don't hurt you.
Like, that's not going to hurt them long term. So I just listed a whole bunch of stuff that Colorado did, and I don't hate any of it. That's why they're my winner for free agency.
Wow. Non-hater, Jesse Blake. Love it. All right. Steve Dangle. Who do you give your free agency winner to? And this is so far. This can change. Trades can happen.
Of course.
Extensions can happen. But right now,
in free agency, I think we put too much emphasis on the players a team is able to acquire and not enough emphasis on the players they're able to keep. So I look at two teams that made it to the Final Four, but you want one, right? Just one. I do like the job Vegas did, keeping Barbashev and also Aiden Hill, keeping that band together, only losing Riley Smith. But the team I'm going to give it to is the Carolina Hurricanes. Because you keep your goaltending tandem together, but cheaper, which how many situations around the league are making that happen?
Their goaltending trio.
yeah.
Goaltending trio, thruple.
Thruple.
Yes, they were able to keep that together. And then on top of that, you got a nice little contract there with Fost, and you were also able to get two of the marquee guys on top of your roster that was already really good.
And you're speaking about, of course, Griffin Mendel.
Yes, absolutely. You were able to get Orlov short term, very little risk. You improve your back end that was already pretty good. And Bunting makes you less pleasant to play against and adds some more goals to your team.
Love that. It's made even better if Tarasenko signs.
Even better. Another thing that tips the scales a little bit is that they seem to be in on more. Still, they're not done. So to me, it's the Hurricanes.
So I had a tie. And I think Carolina was 1A. So I'll go with my 1B, which is New Jersey.
I thought about them.
I really like what they did. I think, first off, because I'm a Toronto player or a Toronto guy, I know Eric Källgren. And he's more value to a depth goaltending situation than I think people give him credit for.
He can play in the NHL.
He can play in the NHL. And again, I think we're not in the 2-goalie era anymore. We're in the 3-goalie era. And
even 4.
Potentially, yeah. And we've seen it. I also have to say that New Jersey's best work has been extending players. And this goes back to last summer with the Jack Hughes signing. What a fantastic contract. Even every day that contract gets better. You got Luke Hughes on a deal now too. But the thing that I think that they did the best work with was getting any value for Damon Severson. He'd been there a long, long time. They signed him to that 8-year deal in the sign and trade with Columbus. But I thought that was a fantastic move. And that was early on in June. It freed up money. You got Bratt at $7.875 million per year. You got Haula, big time playoff performer, extended $3.15 million. You got Timo Meier at $8.8 million, which is a perfect number for him.
The guys they were able to keep?
Yeah, 100%. Michael McLeod even. 1.4 million. I don't, that's a good contract. And I think the Shane Bowers thing, good depth. I love what New Jersey has done. I hate it because New Jersey is one of those teams like I wish they were my team, and that I think they've done a fantastic job. The Meier and the Bratt numbers were the ones I was most interested in terms of, being the marquee guys and what they're good. And the fact that they're both one's under 9, one's under 8 is incredible.
I'm shaking my head at them getting Toffoli.
Yeah, and that too. I forgot the Toffoli trade.
I'm just completely shaking.
Well, and that's what freed them up not to re-sign Thomas Tatar, right? Because you've got the upgrade with Toffoli, and Toffoli's one more year.
My God!
And there's no risk with Toffoli if it doesn't work out, or if he's great. Either way, it's good.
He could have a pretty bad season by his standard and be better than Tatar.
So before we get to the free agency losers, I just want to say there's something that affects your pick.
Okay.
Vladimir Tarasenko has a new agent.
So please tell me Dan Milstein.
It's not Dan Milstein. I believe. I'm just pulling it up right now. Freach had it, so give me a second. But essentially, what this means is the process. It's JP Barry and Pat Brisson of CAA are taking over. He said what Freach says is what this means is no deal is in place with any team, and the process resets today. So there was a leaning towards Carolina. Doesn't mean they won't get him, but now they reset it all.
Interesting.
So I just thought I'd throw that out there.
Wow. I mean, those are two heavy hitters.
That's huge.
Probably the two biggest heavy hitters. So I think you might get paid.
Jesse, your free agency loser so far.
Eventually, the first of the month rolls around and you got to pay your rent. Rent is due at the first, and with the Tampa Bay Lightning, they had a good 29 days of the month, and then the 30th rolled around. They're like, oh shit, we won a bunch of Stanley Cups and now the rent is due. And that's what happened this free agency, where all they could do was get rid of guys who've been there for long. Killorn goes to the Ducks, and then you got to trade Colton for a little bit of draft compensation to the Colorado Avalanche, who we just talked about. And it's more of what happened last year with your favorite player in the world, Andre Palat, who had to go to New Jersey because Tampa couldn't fit him in. And it just seems like every year they lose the offseason because there's no room to do anything anymore for the Tampa Bay Lightning.
They don't even have a backup goalie right now.
No, they don't have a goaltender.
Mark Jones is available.
And their biggest deals this offseason were bringing in Connor Sheary and Luke Glendening.
Who will fit perfectly, I'm sure.
Sure. Like
Luke Glendening, who had a good playoff for Dallas.
Sure. Yeah, but it's just there's nothing to do for the Lightning because they already have raises for Eric Chernak, Sergachev, and Cirelli. Like those are coming up this year. Those all kick in this year.
Dear.
So that's your cap space. It's unfortunate for the Lightning, but it seems like every year here on out until there's actually a regroup of the dynasty and they can't have these stars anymore. Every year is going to be a loser situation for the Lightning, so they're my number one loser this offseason.
That is fascinating.
Nobody thinks they're going to be bad.
No. But they can't. If we're talking about the free agency period, their free agency period from here on out is we sell off the guys who got us those championships, and now we bring in C-level free agents.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Jesse, if you have their cap-friendly page.
I can get that for you.
Are they still over?
Do they still owe Tanner Jeannot a new deal?
They do owe Tanner Jeannot a new deal. And right now they are $3 million over the cap, but with LTAR, they'd have $2.9 million, which still isn't a lot.
What's Tanner Jeannot really worth, though? I mean,
they traded
you six assets.
Yeah, but you could squeeze him.
No. If I'm Tanner Jeannot, you paid 6 pieces to get me.
Okay, then you can sit. You're not.
I will.
Good. Sit.
Hockey hurts. I'll chill.
You can chill and make nothing. Tanner Jeannot should be smart. Take a 1-year deal at a low price. Establish yourself in Tampa, and then go. That's what you got to do. That's what Tanner. No, because if you're Tanner Jeannot, they may have overpaid for Tanner Jeannot, and I think that they did, and I think it was a bad trade. I totally agree with all of that.
Yeah.
But Tanner Jeannot has not played well enough. It's one thing when you get traded in the summer and you're an RFA. Okay, now you have to sign because you just traded assets. You get traded at the trade deadline. They saw what he was. His number is like 1.5 to 2.
Oh no!
I think you're misreading the situation.
Yeah.
What do you think his number is?
Higher than that. I think his...
Put a number on it. Flag in the earth.
If I'm Jeannot, I'm looking at what Bunting got.
Get the fuck out of here. No way.
I'm 100%
Tanner Jeannot.
Bunting got.
Okay, I want to look at this guy's stat. I got to know.
With term, though.
I got to know.
I want more term.
Tanner Jeannot had 41 points once and 18 points last year. $4 million?
You didn't trade for him to put up points.
Look at the goals.
24 and then 6.
24.
And then
That's
6.
what I'm pointing at.
What have you done for me lately? He had 1 goal in 20 games in Tampa.
Been acquired for 6
Yeah.
He had
I think that's
5 picks.
He played 3 games for the Lightning in the playoffs and had no points.
He was injured. Yeah.
Still didn't get any
legit.
points in the 3 games he was in. Results
You're not.
business.
He's
you're
gonna
not
get
gonna
a big
see-
deal, Adam.
You're not going to see a massive deal. It's not going to be the hugest thing in the world.
It could
Tampa
not be
likes
Bunting.
term.
but
I like term.
it's gonna be a lot. I think more than $1.5 million.
I think if he does a 6-year deal, I think he gets more than Miles Wood did.
Tanner Jeannot?
Yes. Adam, look what they gave up for him. I'm not saying I think it's a great idea. I'm just saying I think that's what they
But
did.
he came and wasn't good.
He came and was hurt.
In 20 games, he was hurt immediately from the first game. That guy made no appreciable impact. They thought he was the next
Cut him
Brandon
loose.
Hagel.
Cut him loose. He's no good.
Oh no, I think there's potential. But to say that he's worth
for the potential.
Michael Bunting's coming off of 2 60-point plus seasons.
Yeah, look.
That's why Michael Bunting got the money Michael Bunting got, and he was a UFA.
I'm just saying.
Oh man, okay, listen, if you're right, fine, but like, holy shit, that would be a terrible move.
He'll get paid. He'll
Squeeze
get
that player.
or he'll get both. You watch.
Wow. Okay. All right. Now, Steve, Jesse, were you finished, by the way?
Yeah.
Okay. Steve, who are you giving it to?
The
Free agency loser.
of free agency. This one was a hard one for me. Because you typically want to look at who had the worst deals. I don't really think there were a ton. There were a few deals I wouldn't have done.
They were the deals this year were quite conservative. It wasn't crazy money being spent because there wasn't a lot of money to spend.
A lot of people hated the Jari deal, but then I look at Pittsburgh. They got better. Achari made them better.
So who's your team? Please name your team for God's sake.
I like painting a picture, man. My team's the Calgary Flames. They came into this. They have a ton of business to do. They have done almost none of it. They made one trade where they got pantsed on the Tyler Toffoli deal.
They did. They really did.
Pantsed. Horrible fleecing of a deal.
You don't like Sharon Govich?
With he's just not Tyler Toffoli. It was Sharon Govich and a third for Tyler Toffoli. That's not good return. It's not.
Okay.
You haven't traded any of the other guys, so you're not going to get any marks there.
They're saying that Lindholm is holding up the process because they're trying to get him extended, and he has now turned them down 3 times.
So, okay, you failed 3 times then. And as a result, all that work that you have to do in the trade market, your biggest free agent signing is probably a tie between Dryden Hunt and Jordan Osterley. You lost.
Wow. Good pick. All right. I
agree.
I like I like it. I wasn't sure about this pick, but I reached out to somebody who wrote a very, very good article for TSN.ca, and that would be one Travis Yost. Ooh. And Travis Yost's article was about a specific goaltender. And that goaltender is Joonas Korpisalo. Joonas Korpisalo signed a pretty big extension in Ottawa.
I thought about this.
5-year deal, not extension, sorry, brand new contract, 5-year deal, $4 million per. It's a lot less risky and a lot less money. In fact, it's 66% of the amount of money that they gave Matthew Murray. But at least Matt Murray had won a couple cups. Korpisalo, we keep expecting to be good, but he's been in platoon situation after platoon situation. And it's interesting, I did not pick the Senators.
Oh!
The reason I told you that is to tell
get
you,
your pick!
Yeah, you can't yell at Steve and then do some
Get your pick!
walk around the mulberry bush. Like, what are you doing?
the reason I told you that
Mulberry bush?
the mulberry bush.
You did a walk around.
Your sayings are sometimes just the
Here
wackiest.
we go around the mulberry.
You did a walk around the mulberry bush, you guys.
My pick is the Pittsburgh Penguins.
I'm
'cause you hate
very
Kyle
surprised.
Dubas.
No, I don't hate Kyle.
You
Dubas.
hate him.
I don't. But I'll tell you this. So I reached out to Travis over DM. First off, you should read this article about Korpisalo because I said, okay, so I get you on the Korpisalo thing. The goalie I have questions about is Tristan Jarry.
I agree with that.
And I asked him to do a goal save versus expected, Korpisalo and Tristan Jarry. Do you know what the results were?
No.
Korpisalo is better, I assume, because the eye test says Korpisalo is better.
They are exactly the same.
Oh, there you go.
And Tristan Jarry got more money. Now, Travis did say Jarry had that one good year, and he was outstanding.
That was before COVID.
This isn't last year.
Jarry, no, this isn't this is
their career.
Career.
Oh, okay.
Cumulatively.
Okay.
I imagine it's trending in opposite direction.
Yeah.
They're exactly the same. They come out exactly
What
the
was
same.
it? Do you have it what it was last year?
Jarry apparently was pretty good in 21-22 as well. But the goals save above expected is not good.
He routinely plays poorly when the Penguins need him most.
Mm-hmm.
And
it is what it is.
And so
or he's injured.
So this is the thing. And I understand why Kyle Dubas had to go in there and do the Letang, Crosby, Malkin thing at least one more year. I don't understand why you had to do the Tristan Jarry thing for 5 more years.
There's not a lot out there.
But there is a lot out there.
Who would he have
This is
replaced
your
him?
opportunity to go out and go get Connor Hellebuck or John Gibson. Even.
What? They don't have any
they don't
assets.
have assets.
That's the problem.
Okay, so you sign him to a 5-year deal?
Sign Martin Jones to be your starter?
Okay. Does it make them appreciably better? Because this guy, and I think Pittsburgh fans would agree, nobody's convinced on this guy.
So I'm super not convinced on Jarry. I've come around a little bit on Ryan Graves. That contract still gives me the yips a little bit, but I've come around.
Term is supposed to be good, but Ryan Graves is 28 years old, $4.5 million.
Yeah.
I mean,
he's never played quite this role, right? Mm-hmm. And it's a bit of a late age to be getting that role for the first time.
I like the Will Butcher signing, which happened 2 days ago. I still think Will Butcher. I don't mind Noel Acciari. That's a great contract.
Riley Smith for a third.
But you've got Nedeljkovic, Jarry as your goalies next year. And you claim, because this
maybe to Smith.
Remember, guys, this isn't just what the Penguins did. This is what the Penguins' expectations are and then what they did. The expectation is you're trying to get Sidney Crosby a cup. What could they give Winnipeg for Connor Hellebuck? That's not my fucking job. His fucking job, Kyle Dubas' job, is to go out and be bold. And all he's done is solidify, essentially, what he had last year. The main players for Pittsburgh last year, Crosby, Malkin, Letang, Jarry, and Marcus Pettersson, who's actually great.
Brian Russ.
Love Marcus Pettersson. He's eaten along the edges. He's brought Lars Eller in.
Gensel shocked me last year. Mm-hmm. I thought he was a better player.
Matt
what do you think about Jan Rutta?
Jan Rutta,
greatest player of all
best
time.
one.
He's probably the greatest defenseman that didn't win the Norris this year.
Yeah,
they should have gone out and got Halak.
His contract should be.
I mean,
Jan Rutta's contract should be double digits.
It should. You know what? He needs to be
times 12.
He should be 10.1 million just so he beats out Bobrovsky.
Yeah.
I think at the end of the day, you have to look at a team's expectations. What are we expecting to do? Like Calgary, what are we expecting to do? And then what did we do to help get us there? And I'm having a really hard time, aside from Graves being okay and Acciari being a good third line player who I loved and wanted to keep in Toronto.
Badly.
I am struggling to see how a year older Crosby, a year older and very often injured Malkin, a year older and very often injured Letang, and sometimes that's out of his control.
Even
Jeff Carter.
Jeff Carter's deal is still there. Now, there's obviously still moves to do here, but based on where the Pittsburgh Penguins want to go in the next 24 months, that's challenging for the Cup with the Crosby era. There is nothing about this team that is appreciably better. Nothing. Nothing.
I think you're being too harsh. I'm not.
Well, okay.
I can't.
Sorry, Ryan Graves is the big difference maker for the Pittsburgh Penguins.
I can't decide if I love what they did, but I don't think they're 32 of 32 in that regard.
I think based on their expectations, they are. And I think the biggest mistake the Pittsburgh Penguins are making right now is not rebuilding around just Crosby.
So here's a fun thought. Dubas is going from...
Retool.
Yeah, Dubas is going from... Every year we said the Leafs need to contend. Mm-hmm. Did any of us believe that? We wanted them to.
Well, you got to get into the playoffs, right?
What do you mean? They did contend every year.
Jesse.
They were in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Penguins weren't.
Yeah, what do you mean?
Contending is being within arm's reach of the cup.
Oh, okay. Well, we have different definitions.
Well, I would
they
say,
got to the playoffs.
Let's call it got to the playoffs.
Yeah, and like they had a chance to win a round every year. Like that was contending for the Leafs.
But Dubas is walking into a market where we expect to win the cup because we have, which he never got in Toronto.
Right.
On account of, I don't know if you know this, but they've had a long-standing cup drought.
Let's play a game. Okay?
Hockey?
Let's play a game.
Oh, okay.
Are the Pittsburgh Penguins better than?
Okay.
It's a division question.
Okay.
Are the Pittsburgh Penguins better than the Columbus Blue Jackets?
Yes.
Are the Pittsburgh Penguins better than the Philadelphia Flyers?
Yes.
Are the Pittsburgh Penguins better than the Washington Capitals?
I would say so.
I think so.
They're close in my mind.
Close.
And I think if Washington has a bounce back year, that's in question. Are the Pittsburgh Penguins better than the New York Islanders?
It's close.
Depends on what the Islanders do this summer, right? They need a goal. They need some goal scoring.
It's close.
It's very
Close. Are they better than the Rangers?
No.
Are they better than the Devils?
No.
Are they better than Carolina?
No.
Are they a cup contender? So what's going
Not
on?
really.
This is my thing. Where the stated goal is to go for the cup with Sidney Crosby. You are not better than 3 of the top 4 teams, and it's sort of a tie leaning the Islanders' way.
There's still kind of a tweener team. You're right.
What are you? What are you, Pittsburgh?
I don't think they got worse though.
What are you though? Are you Sidney Crosby's resume? Or is there a team forming in the future with a true identity like what created the great teams in 15 and 16 and 2009?
I think they are a bottom of the East playoff team. And once you get into the playoffs with the core that they always have a shot.
And then you put Jari
Pretty bad in the playoffs.
Jari in high pressure games.
They also have a 3 goalie system where one of them could work out, not dissimilar to the Toronto situation,
I think
where they had Samsonov and Murray, and you just kind of roll the dice and you say, I hope something works here.
Well, Dubas has pretty bad luck with this. If they go into the season with obviously Jari, but then DeSmith, Nedeljkovic, he's going to put one of them on waivers, and I think one of them gets claimed.
Yeah. Oh,
And like,
Dubas.
I'm not even saying
it's
that
Dubas. Of course he'll get claimed.
Yeah.
People just fucking with him. I'm not. Listen, this isn't to say that Kyle Dubas can't do it. I'm actually a big believer in Kyle Dubas' systems and his planning or whatever. But we're talking about this week. We're talking about this team, and we're talking about this team's expectations in the very near term.
He has convictions. He's never half pregnant.
No.
So it's...
And this is a person I have a ton of respect for, but I think that this was not a very good couple week stretch for Kyle Dubas. I don't think it was. And I think it's okay to admit that.
Could have been better. Could have been worse. He did some good things, did some not so great.
You just won't admit it, huh?
I won't admit it.
Why?
Okay, it's not the worst. You're asking for the worst.
I'm asking for the worst based on expectation.
The Penguins are disappointing. The Flames are fucked. You see the difference?
But listen, are the Flames fucked, or if Markstrom has a bounce back year and they keep all those guys in expiring contracts, are they a playoff team?
The Penguins, 1 year from now, will have a hockey team.
Uh-huh.
The Calgary Flames, as of right now, don't have players committed.
It's funny, Jesse, were we talking about how the teams will look a year from now, or are we talking about how they look right now?
I think we all had our picks. I think that was the experiment. We all had our separate picks.
I'm telling you.
I'm still waiting for Adam to be like, but my real pick.
I think Pittsburgh will be extremely disappointing this year if they remain this way.
Let Kyle cook.
All right. I'll let him cook. Just saying. Jesse, do we have time for a press conference, or are we moving?
Do you want to do it?
Let's do it.
Okay.
The Presser. SDP. The Steve Dangle Press Conference.
My other 2 picks for the Red Wings and the Senators. I think the Red Wings did it. I'm not sure what the hell's going on.
You're going to
Well, let's go in depth. How come?
42 picks.
Just saying. I don't know what the Red Wings are doing.
I don't like the summer the Utica Comets had. Torpedo Nizhny Novgorod. I don't really like it.
No?
No.
This is from Leaf Erickson on Twitter.
Fire burn.
Who does Adam believe had the stronger claim to the throne of England during the War of the Roses?
Okay.
York or Lancaster?
Were the were the Yorkists? They were the. Oh, hold on. I gotta just make sure I got this right.
Adam, do you have what it takes to answer this question?
Not at the moment. I just have to remember which one.
Adam also used to
So
do
I think the
radio bit called War of the Roses.
Yeah, I did. Yorkists, I believe, were the ones that were. They were the king was already their guy. Like, I think they had the better claim, but I'm pretty sure they lost. I don't know what War of the Roses as well as I should. It's a good question though.
That's your answer?
That's my answer.
This is an attack on entertainment.
Well, I don't know anything about it. I don't know it as well as I should. It happened 600 years ago.
This is from David Schlemko. He's an MBA.
Oh, the David Schlemko.
Yeah, that David Schlemko. Who are you more excited about losing, Kerfoot or Hall?
Oh,
Kerfoot.
Hall.
Why Hall?
I mean, I'm not excited. I'm excited. Okay, listen. Kerfoot didn't get a raise, which means he lost money.
No, Kerfoot didn't get a raise, which means the Leafs signed him to too much money 4 years ago.
I agree with that. Yeah, it's so good when you commit term to everybody right before the biggest pandemic in a century. And that's what they did with a number of players, and Kerfoot was one of them. Kerfoot is at very least useful. He was just overused. I'm sorry, Justin Hall's not useful to anybody at $3.4 million. There were a lot of nights where he looked pretty good. There were a lot of nights where you're like, oh yeah, that's a third pair guy. And he even had flashes of being more than that. 3.4 with term?
Does it hurt?
Yzerman bumped his head.
Does that contract hurt in a couple of years when the cap's up anyway?
Yeah.
Yeah, a little.
That dude, like,
don't put him in high pressure situations unless it's the penalty.
It's hockey.
I know, but that's what I mean. Like, that's where he fucks up.
What is he supposed to do?
If somebody's bearing down on him, it's over.
Yes, first of all, yes. Kerfoot staying at his number is not lovely, but it's fine. Hall staying at his number, I think, would have been fine. He nearly doubled his salary. Where did that number come from?
I don't know.
3.4? No.
Can I give you a different spin on this?
Sure.
I'll tell you why I'm excited to see. First off, I am excited for the Leafs to move on from both players, for sure. I think they're the two of the players that Kyle Dubas, if anything, was one of the most stubborn people the Leafs have ever had as a GM. And that's good in Toronto because you don't want a GM who kind of shifts with the wind. Yeah. But he's stubborn to a fault, to the point where he'll tell you with a straight face that Cody Ceci did a good job here. He didn't.
Trade for him.
But what I would say with especially Kerfoot is sometimes it's great when the coach's toys are taken away.
Yes.
And I am really excited to see what Sheldon Keefe does with somebody who he isn't comfortable with. I said this last episode. I want to see management push this coach. He's a good coach. He's got a great record with this team. I want to see Sheldon Keefe actually get it, shaken up a little bit. And Alex Kerfoot, Steve put it best, busy nothing. Does a lot of busy nothing.
He can also
he skates fast and he's capable of 20 goals. He never got there. I want to see what the Leafs have to do without guys like that, without Mr. Safety Blanket. And you knew when Kerfoot was in the top 6, they were fucked. They were never going to do well.
I'd rather put riskier players in that position to see if they work than put a safe player in there who I know doesn't. So, Max Domi, there's red flags with his game and his defensive and
John Klingberg.
Yeah, for sure. But just using Domi as an example because he can play wing, he can play center, he's a playmaker. Yeah, there's a lot of similarities to Kerfoot. Domi is probably going to put you in more precarious situations than Kerfoot would. But you know what Domi might do on occasion is score. And I think
and be a factor in the play.
I think
he might be a factor in the game.
I will say I think Kerfoot's going to have a good season.
Sure, he's going to get all the ice time. Who else is playing for them?
Like no one.
He's going to get to play with Clayton Keller.
Yeah.
And this is the thing with Domi is you can appreciably you've seen the teams he's played for. There have been games where he has been a factor. It's like, wow, that Max Domi. That's gonna be hard for me. Max Domi.
He'll hit.
Has changed the flow of this game. When have you ever heard that about Kerfoot? Ever heard that about Hall?
Scored a big playoff goal.
Can I ask another question?
Next question.
Okay, thanks. This is from Michael Czar. What's the best midnight snack?
Oh, I think the answer has got to be cheese. Gotta be cheese.
Do you order it in or is it in your fridge already?
Yeah, shredded cheese, like in the bag, and you just kind of grab a scoop of it.
You always have to
Crackers
clean up after
cheese
that.
is good.
Okay.
You ever do the old Triscuit pizza? You put a bunch of cheese on Triscuits and then you microwave it?
Well, that sounds good.
Yeah. But, oh man. Well, because cheese is two-pronged. One, it's delicious. Actually, it's three-pronged. One, it's delicious. Two, it's versatile. Is it a liquid? Is it a solid? It can't decide. The other, cheese dreams.
I don't know what that is.
You don't know what cheese dreams
Never
are?
heard of it either.
No.
What's a cheese dream?
Cheese gives you fucked up dreams.
Was that scientifically proven?
I don't know. But I choose to believe it. And every now and then, I'm like, I want to watch a really cool movie in my sleep. I'm going to have a piece of cheese.
This is weird.
I have it right before bed.
I wish I never asked this.
Look up cheese dreams. I'm going to look up cheese
Adam,
dreams.
do you have something you like to snack on?
Okay, now, first off, two questions. Am I ordering this in or is it in my fridge already?
You tell me.
Okay. And have I had an edible?
No.
Okay. I haven't had an edible.
No, you are right of mine.
Listen, okay. I think the best one is popcorn. I think makes the house smell good. You can do so many things to it.
I like popcorn.
Right? Popcorn to me. What about you, Jess?
Chocolate covered almonds.
Ooh.
They're fantastic.
Do you just keep those regularly at your house?
I have a little candy bowl on my living room table. It has
You're a grandpa.
It has chocolate covered almonds and Werther's Originals.
Do you have Werther's Originals?
I'm kidding about the Werther's.
Do you carry them around in your pocket?
Yeah, you guys. I remember when soda pop and a pizza was 5 cents.
By the way, apparently the Leafs team jet is in Calgary right now. Just thought I'd let you know. The MLSE jet is in Calgary at the moment.
The dude used to work there.
I'm just throwing that out there. Jesse, what else we got?
What, Steve wants to say something?
You got more to add to the snack conversation?
From BBC, there's no robust evidence that cheese causes nightmares, or in fact, much that proves the theory wrong either.
No,
that means it's right.
I think the lack of evidence might be an indication that it's not true.
Here's all the evidence I need. I have a little piece of cheese before bed, and I have a good dreamy time.
This is from Sweet Roll on Twitter. Will Adam be going to any Devils games next year?
Oh, I probably could.
Now that you don't work at your other job, you got some free time to go on road trips.
Get down to the Prudential Center and be like, no, fuck off, New York. I'm going to Jersey.
Yeah.
You know what? If I get to go, I want to go with those guys that we saw on the pedal bikes in Nashville. There was like 12 to 15 New Jersey fans that we saw.
Our Nashville video isn't out yet, by the way, so that's coming. You'll meet the guys in the video, I assume.
They just seemed like a party. So if they're available, I would like to hang out with them for an evening and just party. Because they seemed like a lot of fun. Hell yeah, I want to see a New Jersey game up close.
First of all, talking to post having a job Adam is adorable. Because you're like, hey, do you want to do this? And Adam, oh,
I can.
I had never even thought of that before. I would love to do that. That's the world is my oyster.
Yep, I'm down.
Second, yeah.
There is a place we're going.
Where we
Come hell or high water, we're going to this place.
Are you saying this now?
I want to.
Okay, Jesse, do you think you should say it?
I don't know. I have no idea what he's saying.
I know what he's saying.
Steve wants to go to Sweden for the for the Leafs game. I'm saving time because I don't know how he was going to set it up, but it was going to be 14 minutes. They're going to start with the zoo.
I was going to say it into the camera,
Yeah, it was going to start with the zoo. One day you saw a gorilla, and then you talked to Ty Domi at the zoo, and you found out the zoo might have been like invaded by Mike Weirs, and then they turned out to be good friends with some Swedish people, and now you're going back to meet them all, and a bunch of stuff, you know?
Stockholm.
like the syndrome you have right now.
Yeah.
Being trapped with us for a decade.
No, Stockholm syndrome is like would imply that I have an affection towards Jesse right now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you shouldn't.
I don't.
All right. Last one.
This is from Nick Andrade, producer of the Chris Johnston
Boo!
show.
You mean the guy who bails on plans all the time, Nick Andrade?
What?
He just bailed on us in Nashville.
So Adam's got
times.
personal beef with Nick, apparently.
I do.
He's got word.
Nick said, would you rather fight 10 horse-sized Brendan Shanahans or 100 duck-sized Kyle Dubises?
Duck-sized Kyle Dubas. I don't want to face a horse-sized. He's already the size of a horse.
One horse-sized Brendan Shanahan.
I'm not beating
one
Brendan.
Shanahan-sized Brendan Shanahan.
No, but like, how old is he? No, even that. No.
Old enough to kick your ass, Jesse Blake.
Yeah.
But just think of how disgusting it would be stomping on and murdering 100 duck-sized Kyle Dubises. What a mess.
Not a good thought. I don't like that question, Nick.
Do I get a weapon?
Give us a better question.
Can the weapon be a lawnmower? For efficiency.
That's not nice.
Yeah, well, you know it's not nice. 100 duck-sized humans attacking.
There's a TikTok account that does this.
They do like
look it up for
I
next
know exactly
episode.
what you're talking about.
There's a TikTok that takes these experiments. They'll have 100 gorillas versus like 4 million chickens, and they'll have them compete in like a simulation, and you watch it. We should watch one, and at the beginning, the two of you bet on who you think is going to win.
I'm in.
And then we'll play it out on the show.
I'm in.
And then one of you will come out the victor.
Oh boy,
we should do that.
That was good, Jesse.
We should do that.
I like it.
Good.
I'm into it, man. Let's do it.
Steve's upset. He's
mad
get to
about
talk
the
about
Sweden.
Stockholm, we're very excited to come with my friend Adam and Jesse also.
Yeah.
Okay,
I won't be there.
You're not coming?
No, I got plans.
What are you doing? It's like in November.
I got things to do.
It's gonna be dark AF, eh?
I got things to do.
It's gonna be like cold and dark.
Might go hang out with some real hockey insiders.
Yeah.
Not Steve over here.
CJ's gonna be there too.
Brendan Manel.
The Steve Dangle Podcast.
Powered by Sports Interaction. Want to bet?
Follow the guys on Twitter at Steve_Dangle, at Adam WYLDE, and at Jesse Blake. Connection complete.